that's not what I want. That's what I want. Turn the sound off. Turn the brightness of that down and see if that helps. I've only got one lamp on and it's not even facing me and I still look paled out. I don't care tonight. It's just been a wee bit insane. So we'll see who's gonna show up. Yay! Actually, hello, Fiona. Hello. Hello, Linda from Michigan. It's been that kind of crazy this whole week. I'm glad to have a chance to actually sit down and not have to like deal with 20 things at once. So I'll be right back because I'm sure you guys would like to see one of the kittens that has been eating up so much of my time. Back. Say hello. It's all right, Elrond. It's okay. I got you. I got you. I got you. It's all right. It's okay. Oh, no, you're not going down. You're not going down because you'll get underneath the furniture. It's okay. I thought you guys would get a kick out of. And where do you think you're going? Hey, come back here. Come on. Sit up here. It's all right. Normally, he's like the first one, always trying to escape. And he's always the most active. And he was the first one to be, he's very feisty. No, you're not going to jump. Elrond. I should have gotten one of your calmer siblings. He will climb anything. He likes to play King of the Hill. What's the matter? What's the matter? You think it's playtime? Not playtime. Not playtime. Not playtime. So he's one of the 5. He's the one Michael has chosen to stay. And then I chose Frodo because Frodo, with me having had to bottle feed him for the first, 2 weeks that we had him, I was still bottle feeding him even after we got Mom in the house. He was so undersized. He is just about caught up to they aren't in my entire house yet because I'm afraid I'd lose them somewhere where we couldn't get to him. It's all right. Elrond, it's okay. It's all right. It's all right. That's not another kitty up there. That's you. I looked at the computer screen. It's like, no. That's you. It's okay. That's okay. So, but they're just in the playroom. They're not allowed to be, and it's the only room in the house really that has a door that you can shut. I know you think you're gonna go explore, and you're not. No. Uh-oh, here we go. Here we go. This is what he does to think he's gonna get away. Come on. You're not getting off this chair. on. Hey, that's your butt. I want your head. There we go. He does that. He goes up and over my shoulder to try to scoot. All right, all right, all right. Do you want to go back in with mom? Do you want to go back in with mom? See what I mean? He is the feisty one. Let me go put him back in. Come on. No. It's okay, Elron. Come on. Don't scratch. Come on, you're a good boy. There we go. Good boy. There you go. Good boy. Yeah, you're a good boy. All right, Morgan. I put him back into the room, and his mother, Morgan, just looks up at me and went, "Now he's awake. What did you do?" You know, she just gave me that kind of look. They're to the point where she is desperately trying to have them be completely weaned because of the fact that all their teeth are in now. All their molars are in now. So yeah. they're breaking my bank though for cat food, man. Jeez. Because they're so little, and I've been having to go to PetSmart to get kitten food because the grocery stores don't carry canned kitten food. Not in my area anyway. And that's not inexpensive at PetSmart, but they were out of the one that they really like. And I ordered that off my Amazon wish list, and it just arrived today. So I was giving them these cans that were on sale, but they didn't really like them. But I go through in a day, just for those 5 and Morgan, I go through 4 to 5 of cans of the regular size for adults. You know, the ones that are like the size of a tuna fish can and like that high. And then I'll go through 2, 4, 6, 8 to 10 of the little cans that are the little small ones. That's a lot. But I could tell you now, it was very different them having, because they get weighed every Wednesday. And I noticed from the time I ran out of kitten food and just had to give them the adult food for 5 days, they did not gain any weight this week. That's not good. That means they're not getting enough calories, they're not getting enough nutrition from what's normal adult cat food. And I noticed with Morgan too, she was looking pinched a little in the back. So it's been an interesting experience. I've never had that many kittens in my house at one time. I've never had them that young. It's been a challenge. And good Lord, the amount of cat litter I'm going through. Holy Moses. I guess I should have expected that. After all, you know, when you have a baby, you have diapers. And, you know, they poops a lot. Well, what was I thinking? I wasn't. You know, 5 kittens now eating solid food. My God, do they poops a lot? Oh man, I had not even thought about that one. So yeah, we go through a lot of cat. Oh, you can only find kitten food at Kroger. Yeah, I mean that's one of the big challenge. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see a lot of pictures I've been posting of the kittens. You know, there's actually on Instagram, there's actually a hashtag for LOTR pets, which is Lord of the Rings pets, for people who have named their pets after Lord of the Rings. And Mike and I had decided to name them all because The mother is Morgan Le Fay. Well, Morgan Le Fay is within the Arthurian legends. That didn't really give us enough names, especially since 4 of the 5 are boys and you only have 1 girl. And since we already had Gandalf the Stray, who passed away a year ago, Mike said, there's a lot of guy names in Lord of the Rings. So that's how we got Elrond, Frodo, Gimli, Arwen is the girl, and Aragorn. And so far, Elrond and Frodo are going to be staying with us. I have prospective home for Aragorn and possibly a home for Gimli or Arwen. We're not sure which one she's going to take. And here's the problem. Both of those prospective homes, there's other animals in the house. So if things don't go well with the other animal in the house, kittens come back to me. Because right now, that's where we're at. Everybody's with me. Part of the litter situation, Marilyn, is the fact that they are children. They are tiny children. They're what? 7, 8 weeks old now? So they go more frequently than an adult cat does. And yes, now that once they started on canned cat food, you got a lot more poops because they're eating more solid food. When they were still completely nursing, it was a lot of pee, so it's, and I've had them, now I'm using a mix of litter that is part paper pellets, because when they're really small, apparently you shouldn't have them with clumping cat litter in case they get it into their systems. It can clog up their tiny little intestines. So now it's a mix of paper pellets and some clumping stuff. And then so once I run out of the paper pellets, they'll all be in the clumping because they're big enough now, which makes cleanup a lot easier. Definitely makes it a lot easier. So, and I have a cat tower now. If anybody saw my my Amazon list, you notice some things have disappeared because I managed to get them. I have a cat tower now. At Boy Scouts, the town where we have Boy Scouts, they have one night, they have like 1 week in the spring where anybody could put anything out and the town picks it up and they put it in a giant dumpster. Well, the dumpster is right where we meet for Scouts, so on that property. And there was a cat tower there that is almost perfect. The scratching pad part, because that was cardboard, needs to be replaced. But everything else, I'm not even finding cat fur on this thing. It's in great shape. So that's on my front porch right now because we only brought it home on Wednesday, yesterday night. So it was great because I was able to take the kitten tower. It's slightly taller than the kitten tower that had been on my Amazon list, but this will be great because we'll have it. And tomorrow, we just didn't have time today, but this weekend I'll get it vacuumed. And I'm seriously thinking of taking a upholstery cleaner to it. It doesn't look dirty or anything, but if it smells like other cats, I'd like to try to dissipate some of that smell. So that'll be great and helpful. And I see Book Bewitch has come in and Warren has come in. Marilyn's here. Dusty Moose, hello. Suzanne Dotson is here. Linda Berman's here. I think I caught everybody. I know I don't see too many people on my lives anymore from all the time that I ended up having to cancel them. That didn't help. But, I'm healthy for now. We're going to take advantage of it. I've had my run of early spring colds, and then that food poisoning was a big surprise. Hello, Val. That wiped me off my feet for 5 solid days. I've never had that before. I don't ever want it again. Mike and I both had it. we won't be eating at that place again. So, so tonight, you knew it was going to happen at some point that I was going to have a book sale just because that's part of what I inherited. I had inherited a massive book collection. At the same time, I myself am a bookaholic and I spent 8 years working in Walden Books. So I have boxes of books in my attic that I haven't even read yet. And now with the book collection in the way, I can't even get through them. So most of these came from a box that was from the other end of the living room. So that was great. So that way it does help get rid of some more books. I have not read all of these. If I tried to read every book in this house before I decided to get rid of it, I'd need to live to about 220. And I don't think that's going to happen. No. So, actually, how many on this list have I read? Well, I own a copy of that one. This is a second copy, so that's why that one's not leaving, and I already own a copy of that one, so that one's leaving. I don't need to read that. I worked at the art museum when that exhibition was going on. See what I mean? So I think I've got like 3 books on this that are ones that I've read. But there will be more coming. There will definitely be more coming of ones I've read. So let's get into this and see how far we get. Because I still have a few that are in the box out in the hallway that aren't even on this big long list because they were down here and I had Mike bring the box down and move it because I couldn't move the whole thing from that end to here. So I couldn't lift it. That's still an issue. I tried weeding a little bit of the front garden and couldn't do it. Oh, you think you're going to stay in my attic for 3 days? Well, hopefully by then I'll have a new roof and I won't have a raccoon or a squirrel getting into my roof. I hope to be into my attic by next year. That would be nice. Oh, Dusty Moose Vintage? Yeah, I probably have easily 10,000 books in this house. When I was still in high school, just before I graduated. No, I graduated at the age of 19. That was when my birthday fell. And my senior year was asked, how many books do you own? Now, I live in a city, not a big one. Chester has a history that goes back to pre-Revolutionary War days, but it is a city that has fallen on hard times, especially since the Philadelphia Navy Yard had shut down and all the little places that used to supply the Navy Yard. So they've lost a lot of their business infrastructure here. So it's an economically depressed area. So most of these kids either don't own any books or they own, especially as teens in the 80s, most of them are saying they have maybe 5, maybe 2. A couple of people had maybe 30. I handed her the list and went, well, I have 182 on bookshelves in my room. And I have 5 more boxes in the attic. And, and I'm telling the teacher this. And she just looks down and she just shakes her head. She said, I knew it. I knew it. It was either going to be you or Rita. Knew it was going to be one of you two. And Rita just turned around and looked at me and goes, how'd you get that many that fast? Yeah, I knew my mom always took me to the library book sales because that was a way to get books cheap. Because, being the youngest of 6 kids, we didn't have that much money for things like that. Dad didn't see the importance of that. Mom did. So by the time you were old enough to walk yourself into the library with her, you were old enough to be able to pick out books. So, and have a library card. So I've been somebody that, even with using the library, I have too many books. Open a library in your house? Well, Dusty and I may be thinking of something. I have thought of building one of those little mini libraries that are what they are basically is, it's a tiny little cabinet that has a roof and is usually on a pole, and it's a mini library, and you stock it with books, and then anybody who comes can take whatever they want. Now, I'm not sure how well that would do in my area, or if I'm going to find the books just strewn all over in the street because of idiots. But I have been thinking about that, especially for things that would be mass market paperbacks, that kind of thing. I have been thinking about doing one of those little mini library things, and just, put the post on my front yard, there by the sidewalk, and filling it up, because I certainly could. Mind you, there's also a lot of books here that are very collectible, signed editions. Those certainly would not be going out there. But I know I could easily fill it with paperbacks. Oh, Teofane, that's cool. Had a little library put by her grave. That's actually kind of cool. Yeah, some of the towns around me have them. I've seen them, but I haven't seen any here in Chester. And honestly, if I did one here in Chester, I think I would definitely, when I'm if I stop at yard sales or went to a book sale, I would be specifically looking for things that are more African American oriented, because I know that that's the predominant audience in my neighborhood, which is fine. I mean, there's some great authors that way. So I would probably have to find my Maya Angelou books, which would be good because then it would clear them off the shelf. I've read them enough times, and pass them along. So let's get on with some books. Now, I do have a few, mostly the cookbooks, are offer ups. But if you see anyone in there that you think should be an offer up, you can put offer in the comments and I'll make it an offer up. Just do it in caps so I can catch it, though. Oh, yeah, non-readers. I mean, yeah, how do you grow and change your mindset? I would be shipping by media mail, absolutely. Other times when I've had books in my sales, I usually send them separate so that I can get the discount for media mail. The Chinese, oh, that's cool. Who turned his family home into a library for community space for his community. That's pretty awesome. Chester used to have two branches of their library, one uptown here, which was part of the Deshong Mansion, which was turned into an art museum. And that the funding's just not there. But we still have, there's still an iron foundry that's does sculptures. There's a fantastic Virgin Mary sculpture that someone did, and it's down in Brazil, and all the parts for it were made here in Chester. There's not only is there a giant bronze bust of the head of Martin Luther King downtown, and we're talking giant. The thing's as big as me. It's a big thing. But there's an even bigger one somewhere. That's a smaller version of the original one that the artist did for some other place. So we have that, and Scott Paper was bought by Kimberly Clark, who also owns Kleenex. So All the toilet paper, Scott brand toilet paper for the Eastern Seaboard, from Virginia up into New England, is all made here in Chester. And we have a soccer stadium. We have the Philadelphia Union, even though we're nowhere near Philly. We also have a Harrah's Casino. And somebody told us the prison was going to be white collar crime only. Liars. So we also have a small prison. And we have Widener University. And we have Crozier Hospital, which Crozier Hospital is one of the premier burn units in this side of the country. So those are your main employers now. But those are all the big employers. And we're near Boeing. Boeing's up in Ridley Park, Essington. But without the Philadelphia shipyard, you had all these little tiny manufacturing plants and supply places. And we don't have any of that. Smaller, next level down shops and things. That's what we lost. And that's hard for a city. That's why Detroit's hit it so hard. It's not just that the car manufacturers themselves are gone. It's that all that next level down suppliers then also are gone. And it really makes it hard. So, Fahrenheit 451. I have to read that again. It's been a long time since I've read that. I have a hardback copy of that somewhere, an old one. It's not a first edition though. Some of my Neville Shute books are first edition. I don't have all. I love his stuff. Now everybody knows On the Beach, which was Neville Shute, and he's an Australian writer. And On the Beach is what happens should there be a nuclear war, how the fallout's going to eventually just envelop everything. And with the fallout comes the radiation. And it's a very sad ending. Of course it would be. But I found it intriguing because Australia, of course, that ends up being the last place of humanity, and how they handle it, how they deal with it on a psychological level, on a social level, what the end game plan is for what they're going to do. And I found it really intriguing because they would have their act together way more than the US, especially now. But his books always give you something to think about. So, all right. And I just finished reading this today. So this one's right off my shelves. It's a book called New Orleans. All the pictures are black and white. Now, the inside, there's a crease, bad one, on the inside fold over. But the book is by Stuart M. Lynn, and Roman numeral hell. Here we go. 19. All right, 19. That's a 50. Okay, so 1949 was when this was published. And it's full of great images of old New Orleans. I have this marked in here so you can see the only other damage. You can see that mark? That's because somebody had a leaf in here and it left the mark on that page. That's the only really bad damage, that and the crease there. Now you can see, you see the shading line here from where the that's starting to yellow a little bit on the end papers. And of course there's wear around the dust jacket edges. The pictures though are all black and white, partly because of the timing that it was. But it shows you, I mean, look at that ironwork. Even though they're black and white images, the photographer has done some stunning pictures of things, even some of the grill work. These are grills at the cemeteries. Look at this. This one blew me away. That's from Philadelphia. He says the name of the company, and the date is from 1858, and it was made by Wood and Perot of Philadelphia. So it's got some fantastic pictures of old New Orleans. And after the hurricanes have been through there and that levee broke, I don't know if all these places still exist, because New Orleans itself, sections of it did get hit. So this book is a good chance to see some of the buildings, the most historical buildings that are down there, as well as examples of the different alleyways, courtyards, and ironwork, which New Orleans is world famous for. So this one is, it's $6 for this hardback. It's just $6 for this, and it's number 32. $6, number 32. Helps if you open the pen up so you can write. Oh, bugger, I have nowhere to put this. Oh, crap. Okay. All right. We'll sit you up there. This is the time of year where Boy Scouts goes insane for me. We had, the lead up to the Court of Honor is always a lot, but now we are in the crunch time for all those who are really trying to push and get their Eagle Scout projects done, get their last merit badges done, so that they can get all their paperwork in before we break for the summer. And it's a lot of work. Now, this one is American art from the colonial and federal periods. Now, this one is from a gallery in New York, the Herschel Adler Gallery. There is a little damage right here on the back. But this one has color and black and white images in it. Most of them, there are some great landscapes. And that's Thomas Cole. The nice one of this, though, is that you could use some of these for junk journaling if you wanted. Since it is, but it is a lot of, there's a lot of portraits, some in color, many in black and white, but every page has at least one, every single page has at least one painting on it. Well, I said that, and then there's one. This one has such a big description because that painting is by Benjamin West, and it's His Majesty George III resuming power in 1789. So because it's a historical painting, that whole write-up is about that painting and what it's about. But most of them do have a picture on it. So I would say this one would be great for if you like early American and federal period art, or colonial and federal art, then you could read it and learn about it. But it also has a lot of great images you could use for junk journaling. And this one is $5, and it's number 64. $5, number 64. I know what I should do. I should tuck their numbers in there. So I started off with some of the art stuff, and then I have gardening, and then I have cookbooks, and so I'm trying to keep like type books together. So we just kind of like go through all those. This one is another catalog book. This one is an art catalog from an exhibition at the Museum of Fine Arts in Houston. It's called Bayou Bend, American Furniture, Painting, and Silver from the Bayou Bend collection. Now, this one's got 192 pages. There's a lot of images of some great silver teapots, salt shakers, all that in the back. Those are all in black and white. There are also paintings, more portrait paintings. Come on, let's back up past the portraits. There we go. There's furniture. And again, these are really fun to use. This shows how furniture and how it would be decorated. There's a color image. Belter. And they actually had reproduction of the entire parlor as part of the exhibition. That's ambitious. So a lot of these images you could use for junk journaling, decoupage. There's another color one. And of course, it gives the history, who made the piece, what year they estimate the piece is from, what circa, what wood it would have been made out of. Sometimes they even have who the carver was. So if you like old furniture, I mean, it's good reference books. But if you just want it for the images for junk journaling, that's all right too. And this is from, oh, look, a walking tour of King William Street in San Antonio, Texas is in the front. That goes with it, because this is from 1975. So if you would like this one, I'm going to lower that price. The Bayou Bend collection of American furniture, paintings, and silver. The catalog, it's $6 and it's number 52. $6, number 52. I used to take pictures of, oh, okay. Thank you, Fiona. The pictures of the chairs. I haven't done it in a long time because I haven't had anybody that can draw so well. But a friend used to ask me to, I can't tilt that way. Let's tilt this way. The hip is, the shots to the spine are wearing off. So I get pain across the hip a little bit. But she used to do these great watercolor paintings of people in period clothing. And she would have me take a piece of watercolor paper and take cutouts of furniture and create a room as part of the background. And yeah, it did mean that like the dimensions were all kind of wonky. But she would put the basic lines of the room, what was the floor and the wall, and I would have to cut out and create these rooms with decoupage, and then she would watercolor a figure into the room. And we did that while because I was 21 and she was 19 and we were at college together, and she would then sell them every time she went home. She lived in New York City somewhere, and there was some gallery that would buy all her stuff. So she would send stuff home, and then every time we went home on a break, and then come back and have here the money. So somewhere out there, doesn't have my name on it, but somewhere out there, there's artwork that I helped create. So. Oh, book. Have you been sick? Oh, you had the variant in your area? I am blessed because when I had it in 2020, it didn't hit my lungs either, but it hit the bronchial tubes. So I still have trouble with getting a lot of congestion in the tubes. So, look, stay safe, hon. The last thing you need is to be sick. Yeah, stay quarantined, darling. Especially you got the little ones there too. We'll be praying for you, hon. Now, I have a copy of this book, and I absolutely love it. And my copy is signed. This one is not, but this is going to be an offer up because I don't know how many of you know of the illustrator Tasha Tudor. Tasha Tudor did a lot of books, more than just the illustrations she's been known for. There are books on her way of cooking, her way of life. This one is about her in her garden. And you can see that at that point, she was getting up there in years. And I think the family, you used to be able to buy seeds of specific plants that she still had in her garden, that were varieties that were just found there. There was a lettuce leaf something or other. It was type of flower, and I remember getting the seeds for that a long, long time ago. This is from 1994, but it looks from the number line to be the 6th printing. And this is just loaded, absolutely loaded with great pictures of her and her garden. And it is, isn't it, Marilyn? It is like the best book. I mean, even some of the pictures, I love this one of her out there in her little red cape, because does that not look like one of her illustrations? That's her house, her garden, that's her in the snow, and it looks like one of her illustrations. It really is one of the best books. And there are, here and there are little images. If I can find one, I know scattered in it, there's a couple of images that are illustrations of hers. This one has it. This one has there and there. But it is a lovely, lovely book. It's 160 pages. There's a list in the back that has some of her favorite nurseries that she's gotten plants from. And so a lot of them you can look up. They may still be around. But what I found interesting too is it goes through her life with interviews of her that she says, why she does some of the stuff she does and how she lives there with her corgis. She does everything on her own. This is one of her grandchildren or great grandchildren. Does it say? No, it doesn't say in the caption. The caption says what flowers they are. And this one is just one of the books she has. This is a fantastic one. And this one is up as an offer up, with the offer starting at 10. I love that picture because she made herself with sweet alyssum. She made her own fairy ring in her garden. So it is, let me type it in, that it's an offer up starting at 10. Tasha Tudor's garden. There we go. Now there's a little nick right there on the fold over, but it is a fabulous, fabulous book. And the center of the book is this great 2-page. I mean, you honestly, if you have a rainy, dreary day, just going through this, looking at the pictures will just brighten things up. She even has one little area that's a walled-in secret garden. And look at the height of these delphiniums. Those suckers are taller than her. I can't ever get those suckers to grow. And she's got massive ones. Here's a one of the captions for one of the images. Perhaps because they are so mobile, and perhaps because Tasha likes blossoms everywhere, even on the porch, she always grows some of her favorite plants in pots, so that when she sits down for tea on the porch, a foxglove or some other little extravaganza stretches its flower stalks by her side. So, you know, the person who wrote the text, Tova Martin, and then the photographs were by Richard Brown. They really spent a lot of time being with her and really getting an idea. They wanted to get an idea of what her garden was like. And she would spend some of every day in her garden. It was her inspiration. And she also in here, there's, I don't remember if there's any photos of it, but she does talk about her kitchen garden. So she also, in spite of having this woodland garden and a tulip garden and a rose garden, she's got the flower garden. She's also got a kitchen garden, which I'm not even sure that they talk too much about in here. But it takes you through all the seasons. It starts as a, it starts with an introduction, and then it goes to prelude to spring, April and before. So it takes you through the early spring all the way to the fall, September and beyond. It basically is one entire growing season in her garden with her. And it's just wonderful. It's wonderful to look at. It's also part interview with her. So it's not just about her without her input. It's got discussions with her and quotes from her and how they interviewed her, what she thinks of different flowers, which are her favorites, why, what she thinks is important when looking at a garden. So it really is a wonderful book. And I see Fiona was in first for 10, and it is an offer up. So Marilyn, if you also wanted it, you'd have to put in more than $10 because Fiona got in first for 10. So we're looking for 11 or more for Tasha Tudor's garden. 11 or more is what we need because right now it's with Blackie Jr. at 10. Hello, Melinda. So I have her cookbook too somewhere. I don't have too many of her storybooks anymore. I sold quite a few of those, but I kept the cookbook. I kept the garden book because those really were just too precious to me. So if Marilyn doesn't want to come in higher, then our high bid right now is $10 with Fiona. Oh, Melinda, you missed in the beginning. Oh, you already have it? Okay. I had Elrond out here with me, and boy, did he not want to sit still. I'm sure you guys were all laughing at that. I can go let's do another 2 or 3 books, and then I can go get another kitten. So we have going once for $10. Whoops. going twice. And it's sitting at $10 with Fiona at the moment. And I'm not going to look. I'm not going to look. And I'm randomly going to hit when I put it in there. And sold. They are at that age. Tell me about it. Scared the hell out of me last night because I heard porcelain hit the floor. We're not a happy camper. Really, really was not a happy camper. Because their mother had already gotten up somewhere high and broken something. The mama is Morgan Le Fay. Morgan was a kitten that I had tried to get a hold of last fall. Because of the outdoor cats, she's Rory's daughter. And Rory still comes around. Rory now has gotten Crankshaft, which is Morgan's brother, to come around. We're getting there with him. He still won't let me touch him, but now he comes onto the porch, even if I stay out there. So that's progress. Shadow is back. Shadow disappeared for 5 months. I thought he was dead at this point. He came back with several bad wounds on him. He lets me put medicine on them. They are healing nicely, but he's back. So that means I have 3 of them outside I'm feeding now consistently. Going for. And now Morgan was inside. And I thought things were going well with her and the doctor because we were to the point where I had a screen in between the 2 of them. She was in the house for just a hair over 2 months. And while there was a little hissing back and forth, they still hadn't gotten like nose to nose or near each other. But Morgan got to the point where she could leap that screen. And then she started going looking for the doctor because she was still a kitten herself. She wanted to be near the grown up cat. And the doctor beat the crap out of her one day. Didn't hurt her, didn't break any skin, but it was a knockdown, drag out fight. And they bent my curtain rod over there. I'll have to replace because it's bent now from them falling off the windowsill and pulling it down. But it scared the hell out of Morgan so badly that she still hisses at the doctor now. She wants no part of the doctor. She's afraid of the doctor. But she booked out the front door first chance she got. And when she showed up again, she was getting a little round in the belly. So the kitten, who wasn't even a year old yet, was pregnant. And so I figure she's probably a year old now that we hit May. Morgan is probably a year old. And now the kittens are 2 months, 2 months old. So, yeah, I have been having trouble getting cat food. So, what? Oh, you need this? Okay. Scout stuff. Hang on a second. Oh, your paper on the. Did you see my reply to Tom about the OA weekends? He's not entirely wrong, but at the moment we only have two or three kids that are in OA. I'm thinking it's still doing something for the youngest ones because they're not even eligible to be the Order of the Arrow yet. We we tried to we did the planning meeting where the kids get to present trips they want to do for next Scout year, and with having so many younger kids, the majority of our troop now is under the age of 13. We've got a ton of 11 and 12-year-olds. If you think herding 5 kittens is bad, try herding 17 kids that are under the age of 13. Well, 13 and under. Let's say that 13 and under. So yeah. So about the cat food, yes, I've been having trouble getting cat food, especially kitten food. I've tried 3 different brands now of kitten food. One of them they were having problems with it. Kittens don't need to be getting the runs because they're underweight. And then this past week, I couldn't get kitten food. So for the last 5 days, because I go through so many cans of this stuff, just even in a day, which I had talked about in the beginning, um, they didn't gain any weight in the last week, which means they're not getting enough calorie and nutrition. So yeah, I ordered cat food from Amazon. That's and I got the electric bill caught up today. But I can see already it's the canned cat food and the cat litter. That's just what's killing me. Because with 6 of them using one box out there, blowing through cat litter like crazy. But at least now they're big enough that they can use the clumping. So right now it's a mix of the paper pellets that I had because somebody brought me a giant. One of my friends from my theater days brought me a giant. Stephanie has a sash of patches for 5 cents. If it's the sash with the little round patches, that's a merit badge sash. And she should be charging at least 15 for that. Now, if it's depending on which patches are on it too, it also depends on how old it is. Um, the patches that really are worth money are the ones that are on events or places or like there's ones that go across here that are your council strip and it says what council you're from. So a lot of people collect those too. So giant, you mean Melinda, you mean the giant food store? Yeah, I've been there too. Well, I see 14 thumbs up. Hi, Warren. And before you ask, darling, no more paper dolls yet. I might have some more coming. Somebody I know whose mother also used to sew said she's found some and would I be interested? So, but we don't live in the same state. So we've got to email pictures and stuff back and forth. So I might be getting some new, and I don't know how many yet. We might be getting some new paper doll books in the future. Uh, the Giant store near me, we have Giant and we have ShopRite, and they've both neither one has had any canned kitten food. Most of the time, they don't have any canned cat food, and all these finicky little um they don't like anything except the pate. They don't. Now I get it with the kittens. Okay, for the kittens, things that are fillets or shreds, it's hard for them. But the adult cats, the outdoor cats, don't really care. But I think also for what you're paying for, the pates give you more bang for your buck. But none of them like the shredded or the fillet stuff. Picky little shits. um. Oh, one of my friends sent me. Actually, she showed up with it a giant bag of the paper pellet uh, cat litter. I mean, it's the thing is big. I mean, I'm sitting in a chair and you see where my hand is. That's how high the bag is, like up this high. And she bought me that. So we're now because when the kittens were first here, when they're that tiny, from what I learned from a lot of people, including my vet who I peppered with questions, um, you don't want them to have the clumping stuff because if they get it into their intestines are so small and that stuff swells up that it could cause serious health complications that could kill the little tiny things. Now, mind you, they're a lot bigger than they were. So that's a good thing. But at the same time, so I still have half of that bag, and I'm mixing it now half and half with the clumping stuff. So that's what I was saying about she had the big bag of. Thank you for keeping me on track there. There was another question about the kittens. Weaned. Yes, book. They are weaned now. I mentioned in the very beginning that they all now have all their teeth in and they all now have the molars in, which is when mom usually goes enough. And so they are all weaned. I do not yet have homes for all of them. Um, I have not yet. This week's just been too busy with finishing up between Eagle Scouts and setting up doctor's appointments, getting Gary to his doctor appointments this week. But I still have not heard back from Forgotten Cats. I have been referenced to 2 other cat charities that might help me find homes for them because it's not just the kittens I'm trying to find homes for. I want to find a home for their mother. I don't want, she's socialized now to be in a house and be with people. I don't want to have put her back out in the yard. Rory keeps trying to come into the house. Rory lets me pick her up. Now she will not let me touch her front paw. There's a little swelling on that paw. So she's hurt, but she will not let me touch her feet. But her other wounds have all healed up beautifully. And she other than not touching her feet, I can pick her up. I can handle her. She's fine. Shadow's back. He was fine before he disappeared. So he can be handled and cared for, and he'll climb on your lap. These cats are all socialized. They're all ready to go to a foster home while they get vet care and then be adopted out. So it's more than I can do because people usually always want kittens. I need somebody like Forgotten Cats or someplace that has a setup to get them adopted to get all of them. And Crankshaft. Now, Crankshaft being so young and he's just now to the point where he will come up on the porch with me to eat, I still can't touch him. He's going to need a little more care, but they all need another foster family. Now, I don't mind fostering cats, but I don't really have the money to keep fostering cats. As it is, these kittens should have been to a vet already, and they haven't been. And I've had to pull their poop apart to make sure there's no evidence of worms. I have not found any. Thank you. Because usually if they're born outside, especially when you get into the warmer months, the cats end up with worms. And so there's, thank goodness, between mom and the kittens, there is no sign of worms. But usually they have to be dewormed and all that. So, but as for homes, 2 of the kittens are staying, and we have possibility of 2 homes for 2 of the others. The problem with those is that there are other animals. One has a golden retriever, and the other one has a male cat, full grown, that's 10 years old. If the kittens don't work out with the other animal, then those kittens come back to me. So we'll see. You still can't pick up Delilah, and you've had her nearly 3 years. Some cats don't. Some cats do not want to be picked up. Now, I can pick Morgan up. It's not like I can carry her around, but I can pick her up. Now, the doctor, you guys have seen, when the doctor doesn't like to be picked up, but she will tell you when she wants up, and then she'll just lay across my chest. You guys have seen that happen in other in other lives. So, but it takes a lot of time. It does take a lot of time to get them socialized. You got to do that blink, that slow blink where you look them in the eye and just close your eyes, and because that's cat talk for it's okay, we're all calm here, it's fine. Good news on that. Arwen, our little scaredy cat one, Arwen yesterday, for the very first time, climbed up my pant leg and sat on my knee looking at me. So I did the slow blink, and she blinked back, and I did it again, and we just did that a couple of times back and forth. And they had all been running all around, and it was to the point where they were all starting to tire out. And Elron had already climbed up and was laying on the other leg on my lap and went to sleep. So, yeah, I've been chosen by Elrond. I don't care that Mike says it's his cat. He's never with the cat enough. I've been chosen. I've been chosen by Frodo, too, which is no surprise because I bottle fed him. But Arwen would not let me touch her, but she laid down on my knee facing me, tucked her little paws under her, and just laid there and closed her eyes. But if I moved, the eyes were, right away, head up, eyes open, head goes back a little bit. Like that is huge for her because she's been in the house in there this whole time and has not wanted me to pick her up. She would hide from me. She wouldn't come near me. I could put the food down. The others swarm me, and she'll be 3 feet away over on the other side of the room, not wanting to come near me. So for her to do that yesterday was huge. And then when I was in there today, she climbed right up on my lap and started beating up one of her brothers. So, but I still couldn't really touch her. I got to scratch her on the head a little bit, but she still is a little jumpy about me touching her. But it's huge that she climbed up on my lap and actually finally looked me in the face, because anytime I would look directly at her, I even tried picking her up and holding her like this so she would look, and she'd look here, she'd look above here, she'd look everywhere but directly at my face. So it was awesome that she finally did. That is a huge thing when you're trying to socialize and train up cats. So, all right, let's do some more gardening books. So I have this one, and I don't need a second copy. This is a cool one. The Complete Shade Gardener. So, yeah, it can take a while for them. I mean, I've had cats that have never wanted me to pick them up. Cosette was a cat that I got. He was so young. Somebody assured us it was a little girl. It wasn't. It was a little boy. I bottle fed him for over a month because he didn't have anything except the fangs had just broken through. He was not weaned, and somebody dumped him out a car window. And so I had to bottle feed him for over a month. And I could not pick him up, but my brother Gary could pick him up and walk all over the house with him. And he'd just love it. I couldn't pick him up like that. He wanted no parts of that. So sometimes it's just the cat's just not comfortable with the person for picking them up, because they're in a very vulnerable position when they're picked up. And you also have to know, when you pick up your cat, do you make sure that one hand is underneath their bottom feet? Because you have to make sure they don't like their feet just hanging. You've got to have one hand. Like when you pick up a baby, you usually have one hand underneath their butt, supporting their butt. With a cat, it's got to be underneath their bottom feet. Their feet have to be pressing down on that hand to give them security. You tell I grew up with a house full of animals. So, The Complete Shade Gardener. I have a copy of this book, which I have all kinds of notes in, but this is a second copy. Now, this one is the second printing from 1985. The first printing was 84. It's a hardback. It goes through everything you could possibly want. It tells you how to manage to grow a border garden with cut flowers, even though you have shade. It gives you ideas of what you can do besides hostas, which is a thing, because everything, they're always saying, oh, you could do hostas. I don't want all green. I want something that flowers. Now, I know this one, they call it a Cornus Cusa. You see this picture. So the Kusa, Kousa, they have them out in Longwood Gardens. They are a type of Japanese dogwood tree. They get big, but they get these gorgeous, gorgeous, pure white flowers to them. So they are a good thing to have. Now there are some black and white pictures in here, but it's really nice to have if you have spot in your yard that's shade. It tells you what you can do with more than just ferns or hostas. It's broken up in sections because the whole first section has 8 parts, and it's called the art, the science, and the delight of it. Because it is important to prepare the soil the right way for what it's going to need for a shade garden, because they need to get more of their stuff from out of the ground, since they're not going to have as much sunlight to help make certain chemicals that they need. Creative pruning, what type of pests you got to worry about, how to get lawn in the shade, and then a season by season guide and shades of shade, because there is a difference between dappled shade, light shade, dense shade, deep shade. You need to know what type of shade you have. And it's very, and I tell you, I swear by this. I've had my copies of first edition. I have used it for years, not only in my own garden, but at that point, my grandmothers were still alive and redid their gardens too. And it has been the biggest help. And then the next section is all about the plants. The trees, the shrubs, ground covers and vines, ferns, perennials, annuals, and edibles. Things that you can grow in part shade that you eat. So it really is a great one to have. The only drawback that I found is that in the index and in the book itself, the first thing they give you is the Latin name, which drives me nuts because I don't know the Latin name for some stuff. But most of the time, like Oxalis oregana, sorry, that's redwood sorrel. Most of the time, they give you the common name, like Saxifraga. I never had Latin. Stolonifera. That's a strawberry geranium. Now, if they just said that, I'd have known what it was. So this is not, unless you guys want it to be. You want it to be an offer, you could say that, but I have this as written as a set price, and I can't recommend this sucker enough. The complete shade garden is $7, and it's number 76. $7, number 76. I've gone through a lot of shade gardening books, and I found a lot of them helpful, but this one is the one that I still have and have notes in that with my own copy I'm not going to be getting rid of anytime soon. So $7, number 76. Okay. Why did I close the pen? Look, it's a book I really liked when I sat here and talked about it that much. Now, I have 2 small space garden books, and they are not created equal. So they are different prices. This is the Ortho, put out by Ortho Small Space Gardens. Now, this one is, how many pages are you? 110 pages. This one has a lot of color photos. This one is from 1979. It's broken up to small gardens, different techniques, small space, which means if you're starting from scratch, big harvests if you want to turn a small space into the vegetable garden, or if you have no space and you basically are doing it indoors or on a balcony. So it is nicely broken up like that. The kitchen garden set also has a thing for window boxes and a section that's not on the index called Big Harvests, which goes through the best ways to companion plant and what takes up most space. And 99% of the photos are color. So this is a nice one. Ortho always does a wonderful job. It's really clearly written. This one is $6 for the Ortho small space garden book. It's $6. It's number 71. $6, number 71 for the Ortho small space gardens. Ah, my nose is twitching. Give me a second. Ah. That in my pocket. Now, the other one. Tell me about that. 71. 71. All right. The other one is also small space gardens, but it's a sunset book. Now, this one is only 80 pages. There are color images, but there's also about the other half of the images. I'd say there's about a third of the images are black and white drawings. This one covers long, narrow side yards, creating outdoor rooms, picture gardens, city gardens, spaces shared with a neighbor, entry gardens. So this one is also from 1979. This is the third printing from June of 79. The copyright is from 1978. I did not find this one as informative. It's a good starter book to give you an overview. I found the Ortho one to be more in depth. And even though it's only 20 pages longer, it's more precise. So this one for the Sunset book is $5 and it's number 36. $5, number 36 for the Sunset small space gardens. Yes, book, your cats absolutely have personality. And you have just described Elron because he is afraid of nothing, which is how he got his name, because he's a badass. Thinks nothing of climbing things, has climbed onto my head, has played King of the Hill, has been on every piece of furniture. He was the first one to climb up that carpet and pull the curtain off the window. I'm pretty sure he's probably why that either him or their mother was why that porcelain bowl got broken. He's definitely got personality. Now, this is part of a Time Life encyclopedia of gardening, but it's only one. It is Foliage Houseplants. It's a great cover. This is cool looking. I did look this up online, and I didn't see anybody that had a whole set. But it has color illustrations of the many different types, from cactus to ferns to whatever that was. I remember my mother having one of them. But it has everything in here. It has care. It has, like the cactus one I found intriguing because it has in there a way to splice a cactus. To not splice it, what's the right word? Graft it, which I never would have thought of doing that. How to even repot them, the safest ways to repot them. Because some of these I know, like a dumb cane, a Dieffenbachia, I think is the Latin. A dumb cane, you don't want to repot until it tells you it needs to be repotted. On my mother's logic, that meant it would break its pot, which it did a couple of times. There's 8-foot ceilings in here, and she would sit that Dieffenbachia up on the radiator at the other end of the living room, and the thing would grow to the ceiling And then she'd cut it down to a short stalk and for the winter, and then let it grow again. And by the end of the summer, it'd be to the ceiling again. And so this one is from, when did they print this? No, I don't want a list of other publications from Time Life. I want a date. 1977 is the 7th printing, but the copyright's 1972. So this one is $8. So I did look this one up. And I was really surprised. There's not many books out there that are just on foliage and houseplants. So this one is $8 and it's number 30. $8, number 30. Hi, Iris. And I see that Melinda wants 71. Melinda, dear, you're either lagging or you went looking up for reviews of the book on goodreads.com. I'm on goodreads.com only because it helps me keep track. And they have a reading challenge. I used to read like 100 to 106 books a year, and I don't have the time anymore. But I do their reading challenge every year, just trying to push myself to at least find time to work my way through and read some stuff. But I've been bad. The last 5 books I read have been from the library, except for that New Orleans one at the beginning of the sale, because I just finished that one. I read that today because I wanted to put it in the sale. And when you're making phone calls to a doctor's office and they say, "Hold, please," yeah, then you're gonna hold a lot. 76. Which one was 76? That's the one I was missing. That was the Shade Garden, wasn't it? 76. I forgot. That's the one I forgot to write the number down. Was the Shade Garden? Am I right? 71 is the small garden space, the ortho one, and then 76 was the Shade Garden, I think. Because that's the one I forgot to write the number down. And yes, I did see you for that one. Now, this is my last gardening one. I love growing ferns, but this one is an extra for me. Ferns to Know and Grow. It's a trade size paperback. It's in good shape. You can tell I've read it a few times because there is a little creasing here. Yeah, then Melinda, I got you down for 76. Because there's a lot of different types of ferns out there, but most of the time, you see Boston ferns being pushed at the nurseries. It's rare to find maidenhair fern, but you'll see ostrich fern. I've got ostrich fern. We tore out 90% of it when we had the big tree taken down. What, 2 years now? It's back. Like a huge section of it is back. So if you're going to have ostrich fern, be prepared. I have stag fern as well. Boy, that's taken over out front because we've had so much rain. It's been nice and wet and cool. So all the ferns are like going bonkers. This one is by F. Gordon Foster. He's written a couple of books on ferns. So the inside the front cover where it says copyright 1971, somebody had written in last edition is 1984. I have decided to, my copy is in good shape, and I've decided I've read it enough times, but I've decided to pass it on. All of the images are uh, drawings like that. The benefit of having a book that has some of the drawings is that I found it helpful because some of the things with ferns, the details kind of don't show up as well sometimes in the photographs, like where you're looking for where the spores come out on the underside of the leaves. Sometimes it's very hard to see in photographs. And then you get something like this. And this is the one spot where the spine is cracked from me opening up this page. So one of these has spores here, but then you see how this has the straight line. So one of these is the male and one of these is the female. And that's how you get the spores to go out and be baby ferns. And it's easier to see it in the drawing than it is to see it in the photographs, which is why I held on to this for so long. But I've got the only fern I'm still trying to find. There's two ferns I still would love to have in my garden: a maidenhair fern and a lace fern, which is sometimes called a tatting fern because it looks like little rows of tatting lace. The only two that I still don't have my hands on that I still would love to have in my yard. So I'm okay with sending this one on. It is a good one to know if you have sun. There are certain plants like ostrich fern, they do fine. Lady fern does fine in the sunlight. Stag fern does not, because the leaves tend to look like a stag's antlers, but they burn very easily. So the heat of the summer, they'll go brown and curl up on you. So they need to be in shade. Hi, Paul. Yes, I'm back. Finally back. It's been a while, but I am finally back. So this Ferns to Know and Grow. It's 252 pages. There's comments in here about things to help them grow, what kind of soil each particular one needs, what kind of light. It is a nice one to have. Ferns are a nice way to fill in spots. And the nice part I found about ferns is that sometimes if you get the right fern, then there are times like part of our property in the back corner is really kind of rocky and lots of little stones in it. And the ferns grow great back there, but they don't necessarily grow great other parts of the yard. But it's also only gets the morning light. And then because of the neighbor's garage behind us and the shed next door, that back corner tends to stay damp and then is in shadow. And so it's in direct light most of the time. So that's where my ferns are. And nothing else can grow back there because it's just too much little stones in everything. But the ferns do real well. So Ferns to Know and Grow, it's $6. It's number 57. $6, number 57 for Ferns to Know and Grow. Paul, I'm trying to clear out some of my books tonight. And we started the night off with me catching a kitten so people could see one of the kittens. Because I have 5 foster kitties. Yeah, there are ferns you could grow. You could probably grow a Boston fern in that office of yours without any trouble. If they like Boston ferns do tend to do well with fluorescent light. You don't necessarily have to have sunlight for them. They tend to be treated more of a house plant anyway. So, all right, now I need to go grab another pile of books. What I did it again. I didn't write down the number. That one's 57. All right. I'll be right back because the big box of books, since I can't lift it, is in the hallway. I'm gonna go get another armload. So what do we have? We have a dog book, we have a sticker book, and then we have cookbooks. Cool. You go get them. Talks among yourselves. Okay. Put that there. You're going to get scared. I know you're going to get scared, but I am so amazed that you came to me. Okay. All right, I got you. Say hello to Arwen. This is our little scaredy cat. Hi, hi. See the little tiny white patch? The little tiny white patch. It's the only way I can tell Arwen from Aragorn because the two charcoal gray kittens are exactly alike. They're the same size. It's all right. It's okay. It's all right. You're not shaking. That's good. That's good. Hi. Hi. You okay? Honestly, until 2 days ago, you would shake like a leaf anytime I tried picking you up or touching you. Did you finally decide I'm okay? Huh. Yeah, it's all right. This is the one who has been so terrified that would stay away from me until yesterday. And you're not shaking. She used to shiver, absolutely shiver, and picked her up. It's all right. Yeah. You guys were all laying there, and you and Gimli were laying in the chair. All right. Oh, now you're starting to shake. Okay, I'll take you back. Look, you're trying. Look, she's trying to hide her head down in my arm. Yeah, she's gray with just this little. The only thing really white is this little tiny dot. Oh. You're starting to shake. All right, you're starting to shake. I'll put you back in the room with Gimli. Come on. Come on, I'll put you back. It's okay. I got you. You're all right. You're okay. It's all right. You're going to go back now. You're a good girl. There we go. Oh. Hey, come back. You want to see? All right. Come back here. Come back. Gotcha. I got you. We had a jailbreak. We had a jailbreak. This is Aragorn. This is the twin. Now you see what I mean about they look exactly alike? Yeah, Yeah, I know. You jailbreaker. I opened the door to put her back in the room and he bolted out. Didn't you? This is Aragorn. And he is exactly the same size, same color. He is next to Elrond, he's the most active one. And he he is probably going to the house that has um uh Labrador, the Labrador Retriever. And so he, because I think he could handle it. They wanted a gray one, and I was like, you can't have the girl. She's just too jumpy, too scared. Him, he will be fine. He is much more go getter. And I know you just nope. I want to go explore. No, you're not. Oh yeah, he waits. It's like a jailbreak when I go to feed them. It's a jailbreak because they'll all be right by the door if they hear me coming, and then they all rush it at one time. And the only one that'll be left in the room is Arwen because their mom and four of the other four boys, they all just go nuts. All right, you're not just hurting cats, just trying to hang on to them. All right, Aragorn. Okay, all right, I'll take you back because if you get loose again, you're going to go underneath furniture and I'm not going to be able to catch you. No, not over my back. Good kitty. Oh my goodness. He and Elrond are a handful. Now I'll give Aragorn credit. Elrond gets rough because he's just too full of energy. And if he likes to beat up the other cats. Now the other boys, it's no problem. But sometimes he gets too rough with Arwen, and then you hear her cry. She'll start squeaking, and it's that, hey, I'm hurting. Elrond has gotten his butt whooped by Mom for hurting her. Gimli has smacked him. Frodo has smacked him. But it's usually now Aragorn who, if he hears the sister cry out that she's getting beaten up too much, he will jump on Elrond and get him off of her. Because Elrond still is doing that biting. And all the other ones have already figured out you don't really bite each other because it hurts. But Elrond's still too rambunctious. He's got the most energy, but at the same time, he runs hard, he plays hard, he has broken almost every toy I've given them. I have 2 mice left. I have one little plastic ball thing that has a little bell in it. He's broken everything else. He has shredded 4 fake mice. He has broken 5 little plastic toys, either because he's taken the 2 pieces apart, or I don't know how he did it, but he broke 3 little balls. So, one person who wants one of the kittens has a 10-year-old cat, and then one other person, the one scout parent, they're the ones that have the what I call a Labrador Retriever. It's a golden retriever. They have a golden retriever, and so they're two different kittens with possibly 2 different homes. But if it doesn't work out with either one, I said by all means give me the kitten back and I'll find another home. So The golden retriever is only a year old. The house that the neighbor's daughter, oldest daughter, once won, and she has a 10-year-old cat, a 10-year-old male cat. So we'll see how it works. But yeah, he is adorable, but my God, he's like a wiggly wet noodle. He just twists and everywhere. For as much energy as Elrond has, he's not so wiggly and twists out of your hands. He just digs in and keeps climbing. But that other one, Aragorn, is just a handful to get your hands on and keep your hands on him. You saw how much trouble I had with him. It's like trying to capture a wet, slimy noodle that just keeps falling out of your hands, and he's a mess to hang on to. But it is funny. I go in with their food on a tray so that I can get in the door. Everything's on one tray, so I have one hand, and the other one is trying to pull the door shut behind me. But as soon as I open the door, it's like jailbreak. I have at least 4 kittens and mom all trying to get out of the room. And I get it. They're all bored with being in there, especially since Elrond breaks all the damn toys. So that's a real problem. I don't know how he did it. I really don't. But I went in and he had managed to break the balls, the little plastic balls. I mean, they're the size of a golf ball. And the only thing I could think of is because he wanted the little jingly part out of the center. The only thing I can think of is that he had to have just gotten it between his paws and just chomped on it until he snapped pieces, because they all had parts missing, and then he was banging around the little part from the center. So yeah, that's what I was wondering about, Melinda, if they should get 2. And I did talk to her about that, and she said that they would think about it. She'd have to talk to her husband about that, because that's why we're keeping 2, because the doctor is 10 years old. Problem is, the doctor's still an idiot when it comes to the kittens. So, because you do want to, so that they play with each other, but I have no doubt that Elrond is going to go right for the doctor. And if the doctor hisses at him, well, we've already seen that. I had him in the kitchen and I was holding him, and she was in her tower so that she can look out a window. So she can see the bird feeder from the kitchen window in the corner. And now we were 3 feet away from her, and she saw him in my hands and she hissed. And he just looked at her and had no reaction at all. Now, when she hissed and I had Frodo pulled back. I was holding him, but he physically pulled back a little bit. Elrond did not give one fart in a windstorm that this cat, who is several times his size, hissed at him. So I have a feeling the doctor is going to have to get used to it, because I don't think Elrond's going to put up with her crap. It's going to be interesting. All right, this is an art exhibition book called The Dog. And this one was an exhibition, 100 Years of Classic Photography, presents fascinating gallery of black and white images, all devoted to man's best friend. So this was an exhibit that came through the Delaware Art Museum when I had when I had worked there. And it is full of great images. There we go. This one's one of my favorites because of all the little puppies. So this is 160 pages, and there's all kinds of breeds. Just great black and white pictures. I mean, some of them you could get copied. This one is cool too. Look at that. I just love her hat. But that is that is a picture from someone's collection, because some of the pictures that are in here aren't just from the 90s when the exhibit was going on in the early 2000s, and there's pictures from the 90s. But this particular picture that I just showed you is from 1955. It's Dovima with Sasha. The cloche, which is the hat, is by Balenciaga, and it's at the Cafe de Mago. Maggots? No, you don't. And Mago. Anyway, it's in Paris from August of 1955. So they have photos from everywhere. This one's from 1947. So it was a big collection of photographs. This one's really early on, and it took me a while to find the dogs, even when I saw this hanging on the wall in the exhibit. Nope, this way. You see the dogs? Do you see the dogs? It's hard to see the dogs. There's two dogs. Right there. They're on top of the wood pile. And that picture is Photographer Unknown, Untitled, 1905. These two pictures with kids are from 1900. It's just so cute. But the earliest pictures in it are from 1900. But it really, if you love dogs, if you love photography, the two together. Here's one of my favorite pictures because this is one of my favorite breeds. There's a Pekingese. Looks like Susie, the one I grew up with. And that picture's from 1920. So pictures from the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, 57, 77, 89, 95. They just go all the way up to the 90s. It is, because of where it was sitting, it is a slightly warped on that end, but not so much on the spine end, because it was in a box of books where it was ended up like this. That will come out if it's, you know, tucked in a shelf or laid flat. It's in like new shape. So this one is in great shape. This one has never been read. This was one of the extra copies I had of this. And this is $10, and it's number 80. $10, number 80 for the exhibition catalog of the dog. $10, number 80. Oh, geez. Don't knock my water over. Put that in here. Put that up there. And now this one is, I love Usborne. Usborne puts out the coolest books. But this is a seashore sticker book. It's never been used. It has all the pages of stickers are in there. They've not been used. There are several pages of stickers, but this has, what I thought was interesting about this one is that there's over 100 different plants and animals in it. And they're described in the book, and they have descriptions and they have line drawings. But they want you to try to find the right sticker for the right plant or animal. And you can also use the book as a spotter's guide. So if you find these things, like the first part has the different creatures for the shells, and there, of course, are stickers for those shells, but there is a spot for a date and a place, should you have found one out in the wild. The same thing with different types of crabs, the same things for the flowers and grasses that you find on dunes. They have the different birds, and it's never been used. It is from 1997, which means somebody probably gave it to us from Michael and then he never did anything with it, or else it got or knowing my mother, she bought it and then tucked it away and forgot it. But it is in brand new condition. It is 23 pages. It is $5. It is number 24. It's $5, number 24. So put that down. Seashore sticker book. There. Yeah, I looked them up, and Usborne still makes some of those sticker books. They're, of course, twice that price, but they still make a few of them. But Usborne, man, Usborne has just some great. They make a lot of books that they go to a lot of trouble to have really accurate pictures and look really cool. All right. I know a lot of you vintage ones like cookbooks. So the cookbooks I've got, the prices online are all over the place. So I'm going to start them low and let you guys have them as an offer. Now, I have my own copy of this that I need to take to somewhere to get it rebound into a spiral because it's falling apart. But I have come across another one. Betty Crocker's Cake and Frosting Mix Cookbook. I could not live without this. My grandmother gave me one when I was still a kid, barely into my teens. Now, this one is the 4th printing from Golden Press. Do you have a year? Because mine's a hardback. This one's a paperback. I so need new glasses. I cannot read that tiny, 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 tiny date. Where's my... You know it's bad when you need the jeweler's loupe to read the copyright date. 1966. Okay. Because my grandmother gave me a hardback copy, which is from the 50s, but I've used it so much that I really want to get them to actually like cut it and put a spiral bound on mine. Because a lot of cookbooks that you see now, they tell you maybe 3 or 4 different kinds of frosting. There are so many different kinds of frosting in here. I swear by this book for my cake baking, mostly because it's got so many different kinds of frosting in it. It's a great book. This book is starting offer at $8. Let me get it in there. It's the, if I spell right, Betty Crocker Frosting and Cake book. Start at $8. There we go. Did it go in? It did not go in. It did not go in. You bugger. I typed all that. We're going to start it at 8. There we go. Yeah, I've noticed that because I don't have any cookbooks in my eBay store. My eBay store is sadly lacking in a lot. But I've noticed that since 2020, like the amount of people that are searching out cookbooks and especially are starting to look for the old ones, find it really interesting that the millennials are picking up the older cookbooks. I think because, like my nephew said, that the older cookbooks don't have all these, in his words, stupid and expensive ingredients. And I have to admit, he's not wrong. I can't tell you how many times that I have looked at magazines that have recipes in them, and whether it's Better Homes and Gardens, which a friend gave me a free subscription for, or Real Simple, which I won a free subscription for,
they have they have always got something with some ingredient that is not typical, that you have to go somewhere special to find it. And then when you see the price, you have to roll your eyes back into your head from them popping out of the price. So, and sometimes it's like, for what was the one I saw? And it wasn't enough to have just like chocolate. You had to have Belgian chocolate in it. And he said, yeah. And he's like, why? Why are they asking for this crap? So it's not going to, and sometimes it's literally, he found one and they wanted an eighth of a teaspoon of saffron. And it was solely to turn it kind of yellow. And yeah, it would give it a little bit of a taste. But for the most part, saffron itself is wildly expensive. And so I said, wait a minute, I know that recipe. And I looked it up in one of my mom's old cookbooks. And they didn't use saffron to get the yellow color, they used turmeric. So it gave it the same bright yellow color, and turmeric's a heck of a lot cheaper. So that's when he started swearing by the old cookbooks too. But it's funny, is like a lot of the millennials are picking up these. But this one is one that is really, really good and worth having. It has tips on ways to decorate them. The Mother Hubbard shoe cracks me up. And the lacings on this shoe are red licorice, because they have a drawing of that right there, but it's red licorice. So even for the decorating, the tips are really helpful. I cracked up over this one. The circus merry-go-round, all those animals are animal crackers. Remember them? The animal crackers, the little biscuit cookies. But they even have like bar cookies, little bar cakes in here, and but it's just the decorating. They show you how to do some basic, easy decorating, but it's the idea that there's so many different to frost a cake, because they've got 3 or 4 pages of different methods to frost your cake with, as well as several pages of different frostings, which is why I like this one so much. But I don't see anyone coming in for this one, so I think we will put this in as a pass, since I don't see anybody coming in for that. We have, just in time for summer, we have a hardback one for barbecues and picnics from Better Homes and Gardens. We're going to start this one as well at 8. You are typing this time, right? But this one is a hardback. It is from the Better Homes and Gardens. It is barbecues and picnics, and is from $1963. This one's in great shape because this isn't from my collection, or it would have been well used. There's the binding still seems pretty tight. It has lots of different ways to barbecue, whether it's a tiny little tabletop one like that to a full-size barbecue on the yard. They also have a section of mixes of cold foods to have for on your picnic. I'd bet money this has something to do with Jell-O. So that you do have some of those icebox things that we look at now and go, why would you do that? They have meals on the go for the picnics, is interesting because of all the stuff that is Tupperware galore in that picture.
but that's the easiest stuff for tailgating or picnics, is stuff that's made to be served in and out of Tupperware. They have for a porch picnic, they have ideas. They have special appetizers. They have relishes specifically for it. It's another great cookbook. And I don't see anyone coming in for this one either. It's going to start at $8. So we'll put pass on that one. Guess this is not the night for cookbooks. And then we also have another Better Homes and Gardens favorite ways with chicken, turkey, duck, and game birds, which is also going to start at 8. Now, this one does have the remains of an address label in there. We're just going to put favorite chicken, start at 8. And this one is another one. It's in good, clean condition. I didn't find any marks or anything to it. It has 90 pages. It also includes salads, both hot and cold, that can be done with chicken. It has barbecued poultry, different ways to barbecue your poultry. Turkey chow mein was kind of intriguing. Chicken Kiev's in here. Turkey and ham casserole. Kind of think I might pass on that, but other people might like it. Plum glazed chicken. Gourmet entrees, appetizers, creamed poultry. Poultry from the broiler. So it's not just ways on your so it's not just ways on the barbecue. It's casseroles as well. It's different. There's 4 pages of different dressings and stuffings to use on your birds. Hunter's specials include pheasant with apples, turkey, duckling. So that was starting at 8, and I don't see any takers, so we're going to write pass on that one as well. Okay. Sleep all day. Well, I don't know. I find when I sleep too long, if I sleep all day, I wake up tired and cranky and sore. And that was before the spine injury. So now if I sleep all day, I wake up so stiff I can't move. And it takes me an hour to do stretches to be able to get out of the bed, which is a challenge if you really gotta go first thing in the morning. Now this one is different from all the others. And this one also is going to be an offer. And we're going to start this one at 8. And it is Bermudian cookery. It is a collection of favorite old and new recipes gathered from members of the Bermuda Junior Service League. Iris, I had a real rough time working nights, and by working all night, my vitamin D dropped like a rock, and I got told by the doctor that was why I felt so exhausted and had to take supplements for it. And I was wondering why I was sleeping so much lately. And one of the medications I'm on actually leaches D out of your system. And so I'm back to taking supplements again, which thank goodness, because now I finally have some energy. So that might be part of the problem, because I know when I first started working third shift, it became a big problem for me.
And if you're up all night, you're not getting any vitamin D because you're not in the daylight. You're not getting any sunlight to make it. So this is from printed in Bermuda. And this is the 8th edition from March 1989. And it has 192 pages to it. And it has some great stuff. Everything from a patio dinner for 8, fisherman's catch, party menus, luncheon menus, rum runners, a bunch of recipes that include a little bit of rum. But it really has quite an interesting mix. Now, I like in the front, it has several things that have things very specific to the island. And they have Luquat jam, which is a fruit tree that grows down there. They have Luquat chutney and liqueur. They have things for tea as well, like a coconut layer cake, different types of scones, how to make your own ginger beer, should you want to make that. Pumpkin seed candy, that was an interesting choice. But it's in excellent shape. It has this nice spiral plastic binder so that when you open it, it will stay open to where you need it to be, which I think should be mandatory on all cookbooks, but is not. But it really is cool, and it does have some recipes that are very specific to the culture and the island of Bermuda. None of them are particularly hard to make from what I've seen, which is great. I was intrigued by the Elsie's filet mignon parmesan because I never would have thought of doing this to a filet mignon, and it's super easy because it's basically garlic, salt and pepper, grated Parmesan cheese, preferably fresh, as opposed to the stuff out of the plastic container. 3 eggs, milk, 3 tablespoons of red wine, and breadcrumbs. Because you're going to mix all that together and you're going to coat the filet mignon with that. Then you're going to cook it. And then there's a sauce to make that goes with it. Boy, does that one sound good. So Bermuda Cookery was to start at 8. Iris, you want the cake and frosting? Let me get that one for you. And cake and frosting. Let's give that a number. We'll make, because it was the asking price was 8, so you'll get it for 8. And I've got you down for that, Iris. Cake and frosting. Hello, Linda. Morning. Well, it is 1 a.m. here. Okay, so I don't see any offers coming in for the Bermuda cookbook. And you can't. Jennifer! Is that my Jennifer? Is that my Jennifer? Let me see. Let me see. I can't tell. It won't let me click on your little icon. And no, you can't have my TARDIS. My TARDIS was a gift. My TARDIS was a gift. It's actually a birdhouse, but I don't want to put it in the yard and have the squirrels ruin it. Jennifer, y'all, is one of my nieces. I don't even want to know how old you are now because it's just going to make me feel even older. But then you and your sister, I was really young when I became an aunt. That's Sarah's fault. I was only 10 when Sarah was born, and I turned 11 almost 2 months later. So it's my fault you're hooked on Doctor Who.
my fault a bunch of my Boy Scouts are hooked on Doctor Who as well. Okay, let's see. Somebody said they wanted, okay, cake and frosting book. Okay. Okay, so before I got distracted by actually seeing one of my family show up for this. Now, Jennifer, you know, if you're going to be here, you make sure you're subscribed to my channel, because the more subscribers I have, the better. Because I am monetized. I have my 1,000, but I only have 1,093. So I don't really feel like I have a safe buffer. Mind you, I haven't made enough money yet. You don't get paid out by YouTube until you make until you make at least $100. I haven't done that yet. I have not made $100. So, all right. So no one wanted the Bermuda cookbook. So I think we could put a pass on that one. I'll put that one up there. Now, okay, so that was the last of the cookbooks. Oh, you already have that one, Dusty Moose? One of my favorite cookbooks is actually from Canada, and it's a regionalized cookbook. So it's only about the size of that Bermuda one, but it's broken up into the different regions. So you have the Nova Scotia, and then you have Ontario, you have Toronto, then you have British Columbia. But the fun is when you get to the British Columbia one, because that's got recipes for bear, beaver, raccoon. I think there's a possum one in there. Moose, caribou, stuff I'm never going to see around here. But it's one of my favorite cookbooks. It was sent to me a long time ago from a pen pal that I had named Sharon Stiebel, and I miss her. She was, we were a 5th grade project. And then she, as an adult, we wrote for a long time, and I lost touch with her probably 20 years ago now. But I lost touch with her after my dad died, and I was only 30 when Dad died. So she was a television executive in Nova Scotia, and she had given that to me as a gift one time. And I still have it because I think it's an awesome cookbook. So now with the cookbooks done, I have some books on religion, and then I have books that are biographies and whatnot. So this one is called The Cross and the Crown. It doesn't look like much, so it wasn't one you could really tell what it was. But then when I open it up, it's The History of Christian Science. Now, it's written by Norman Beasley, and it has Mary Baker Eddy, who was the founder of Christian Science. And the book itself is the second printing from November 1952. And it's in great shape. The binding's still tight. The pages are good and squared on the corners here. The pages are squared. This side lines up nice and flat. Yeah, Joey was born 3 weeks after your grandpa died. Because we were all so worried that you were going to go into labor, Jennifer, remember? We were terrified she was going to go into labor at the funeral. And if she did, well, then we'd all just deal with it. But we were real worried about her because you were Grandpa's girl. I have an old cookbook from 1890. Well, I shouldn't say I have it. My brother Gary has our great grandmother's cookbook from the 1890s. God knows where he's got it, but he's got it somewhere in that room of his. So this book is $6. It is The Cross and the Crown, and it is part biography of Mary Baker Eddy, but then the rest of it is also the biography of Christian Science, which she founded.
So if you are interested in the studying of religion or Christian scientists, then this is a fun book to read. It is $6. It is $6, and it's $6, and it's number 19. $6, number 19 for Cross and the Crown. I stopped for a second because I wasn't sure what the noise was I was hearing. I thought it was a cat, and then I realized it was the squeak of Gary's door. This is a Hallmark book from the 70s called This is God's Word. I personally like the mushroom artwork that's on the cover. If you wanted to use this as a display for your collection of pixies, fairies, or a collection of mushrooms, you could stand it that way or this way and enjoy the artwork and have your pixies lined up in front of it. Because we all know in the vintage community, a bunch of people like their pixies. Now, it is inscribed in the front cover to Aunt Pearl and Uncle. Apparently, Uncle does not have a name. Just because I think of you often, love, Janet, May 1972. Now, I have seen some of these books from the 70s that were put out by Hallmark, and they're always intrigued me because they're made to look like the high-end, more artist kind of hand printed. So this page is like a vellum, and you can see through it. And it does say here that it is a Hallmark Crown edition. It's not very many pages. It does have a mark in the back here because there is this piece of paper in it that dry weather induces drought throughout Midwest from May of 1980. Didn't realize that was in there until just now. The pages are not flat cut. They are actually scalloped on this outer edge. And it has little words of wisdom with a comment on each page, different types of artwork. A very inspirational book. But some of the artwork is very kind of 70s-esque. Oh, Jennifer, you have no idea. Have you been watching this channel? I've been selling stuff that's older than Steve. So the In God's Word book is, or this is God's World. This is, let's lower that a little bit. This is $5, number 12. $5, number 12 for the Hallmark This is God's World book. Okay. Now what else do we have? We have, I didn't write down the number though. Wisdom from Women in the Bible by Edith Dean. Now, this is the original copy. This book is still in print. They have reissued it as a paperback. And the paperback, I believe, the more modern publishing is an expanded edition. This one is the first edition from 1978. And it goes through everything from Lot's wife and Rebecca and Rachel and Miriam from in the beginning. It has the foolish ones like Dinah and Delilah and Solomon's wives. Now, there are a couple. Apparently, someone was very into Mary, the mother of Jesus, and Mary Magdalene, Dorcas, and Priscilla because they have circled all of those. In 1978, I would have been that October, I would have been 13. So I'm a little older than you, Iris. So, but some of them are very short. They're only maybe 2 or 3 pages, but it gives you an overview and the wisdom of and from different women in the Bible, and it gives you what they had said or was said about them within the Bible. Does not say which version of the scriptures they use, though if it's in the US, it is most likely the King James version that she used as her reference. It may say in the introduction, I'm not sure. Come on, how many pages you got? 51 chapters, right? Oh no, 52. So there's 52 different women, and there's 148 pages. Now there's a little tear here on the back, on the bottom of the dust jacket, but overall it's in really good shape. It is $6. $6, number 42. For the wisdom of the women, from the women in the Bible. $6, number 42. You up there? Yeah, I was the last one. Steve was born in 47, 48. I was born in 65. He was 16 years old when I was born. And yeah, I wasn't very old when you were born, Jennifer. Yeah, because Sarah and Kimberly were surprise babies. Jennifer, you at least weren't a surprise baby. Because nobody bothered to tell your mom when Sarah came along that, strong antibiotics counteract birth control. That was a surprise. Now, this book annoys me because it doesn't say who wrote it anywhere that I could find on here. But it's a book about Frank Lloyd Wright, The Future of Architecture. Now, I think he wrote it, or it's from his writings. It does have an inscription in the front, and it has first printing from 1970. Oh, first in printing. So the book itself, the copyright's from 1953, but this is the edition from Meridian Publishing from 1970. So I think it is writings from papers and lectures that Frank Lloyd Wright himself had given about the future of architecture. In Pennsylvania here we have Falling Water, which is one of the Frank Lloyd Wright houses, which you can go through. It is a historic house and museum. He had a very unique architectural style. They have some images, but not many. This is the first Unitarian Church interior in Madison, Wisconsin. I wish they had more pictures. The only thing wrong with it is this little corner of the back paperback, the cardstock broke off and is gone. But if you are interested in architecture as an art form or interested in Frank Lloyd Wright and his designs, this is a great book. It is $5. It's number 16. $5, number 16 for the Frank Lloyd Wright book. I saw a picture of David on Facebook and I was really surprised. Yeah, his hair isn't orange anymore. He's the one that they used to tease my mom saying that he was the milkman's kid. Because he was the first one of 3 of us that had reddish hair. Because Steve had dark hair like our dad. Phyllis's hair was blonde for the longest time, which is not like either parent. And then David came along and he had, we used to call him orangutan just to tick him off. He had that kind of orange hair. And then mom had polio, got told she wouldn't have any more kids. Well, they were wrong because then came Gary, and Gary's hair was really kind of auburn, but a lighter auburn than Jennifer's. My niece Jennifer there has stunning dark chestnut hair. She's always tying it tight in a friggin' bun, but she does have gorgeous red highlights through that hair. Gary had more red showing than the brown, so his was more of a chestnut. And then then there was Roy, whose hair was brown, and then I came along and I had a whole other shade of red. So 3 of the 6 kids had different shades of red hair. Even Dad used to tell us we were all the milkman's kids, and I said, yeah, but by the time I came along, you didn't have a milkman. So how does that work? What did I just say that number was? I didn't write it down. So, oh, you have 5 younger sisters, and I had 4 older brothers. Trade you. Trade you. Okay, this is last of the religious books. Now, this is a kid's book. This is a book about John Wesley. And I love the end papers. I love beautiful artwork in end papers. Now, it is by May McNear and Lynn Ward. And the illustrations, it's from 1951. And John Wesley, it has been so long since I've done any religious study. I know he had something to do with changing religion in England, and had something to do with the Moravian Church, which is a branch of Christianity, and Methodists, I think, might have been folded into the Methodist Church. Been a long time, man. I'm real rusty on this. 5 years of Christian schooling, so. But look at the illustration. It's just beautiful illustration work in this. And it doesn't say specifically who did them. There are 96 pages, and it goes through his whole life. Okay, so John Wesley lived during most of the 18th century. He was around for the American colonies becoming the United States and during the French Revolution. He'd seen the coming of the steam engine and inventions of machines for making cloth, as opposed to the hand looms. He was 85 years old when he passed. Wow, and he published more than 400 books for people on religion. Wow. He passed in 1791. But I do know that he had a lot to do with reforming religion in England. I know his sermons, we had to study his sermons, even though I was in a Christian school. But these illustrations are just gorgeous. So this book, the kids' book on John Wesley, is $6 and is number 85. $6, number 85. Iris, I know that feeling, because my sister and I are 14 years apart. There's 3 other kids and 3 brothers in between us. And then there's one brother that was older than her. But not only were we, we really didn't grow up together, and the parents she had, even though our birth parents were exactly the same, the parents she had as child number 2 versus the parents I had as child number 6 and 14 years later, from, the 50s to 1965, were vastly different people who also had calmed down a great deal over how they were going to raise the kids when you had 6 of them. So she literally was the Bobby Soxer with the poodle skirt, saddle shoes, the ponytail in the hair. And she can't tell me she didn't have a poodle skirt, because she did, but it had a white cat on it because we found it when we were cleaning out the house at one point. So we did find one at one point when my mom was alive, going through some old clothes that were in a box in the attic, and found it. But yeah, I mean, Steve and Phyllis were the epitome of the baby boomer generation, because they were the first born in the. Steve was born in 47 or 48, long in 49 or 50. So yeah, we didn't grow up together. I was 13 when she got married. So yep. So I don't remember her, because by the time I was old enough to remember her, she left for college on the other side of the state. I mean, she'd be home for the summer, but I don't really remember that. I saw more of her after she got married when I was 13 than I ever remember seeing her before that. And Steve, my first memory of Steve, even though there's pictures of us when I'm a little tiny one, and he absolutely adored me apparently, and for me, he was always my Stevie. He was always the big brother. And I don't remember too much, because sometime by the time I was 10, I think he'd moved to California. But my first memory of him is the day he came home from Vietnam. And I would have been 5. And I can remember that day very clearly. And thank God he caught me, because I flew out the front door and leaped off the porch at him. And he dropped to his knees to get to me, to catch me. My feet never touched the pavement. And I just flew out the door to him. And that's my first solid memory. There's all kinds of pictures of us doing stuff. I mean, but I don't remember any of it. I was too little. So, oh, I know. Yes, your dad is a stubborn. Ah. Oh, wow. 3 when your oldest brother got married. I have a friend of mine. I haven't seen Mike in ages, because Michael is a priest now and they send him all over the world, because he's got such a gift of languages. But he has a nephew that's actually 3 weeks older than his, because of the age spread. They were a family with 7 kids, and his age spread is 20 years, because when his oldest sister was pregnant with her first child, his mother was pregnant with him. And so he has a nephew that is, I think, 2 or 3 weeks older than he is. So yeah, it can happen. Let me go grab the last of the books. I'm not grabbing a kitten this time. They're sleeping. Okay. Yeah, it's all quiet out there. I am not going to go grab a kitten now. They're sleeping. They're sleeping. They're not getting into any trouble. Okay. Last couple of books. Now, these are history biography kind of books. And then a couple of just odd whatnot that I threw into the box. So this one, I'm not reading this one. Not my kind of history. I tend to like British history better. It's called Confederates in the Attic, Dispatches from the Unfinished Civil War. And this one is written by Tony Horwitz, who's been a winner of a Pulitzer Prize. Because I know the name, because he is a correspondent for the news media that would cover, I know he covered Bosnia and the Middle East. So I knew the name, but he starts off with, he's always had a passion for the Civil War. And he starts this off by looking for places and people still held in thrall by America's greatest conflict. So he went and interviewed a lot of the hardcore reenactors who will travel in the summer to different states that are doing battle reenactments. So he's also, he did this book because he also wanted to see how much of the problems with race relations in this country are still fueled by, how to put it, that they still have the roots of that and is fueled by the ideas that were for the Civil War or grew out of that. So he made a point of doing a marathon trek. It said he went from Antietam to Gettysburg to Appomattox. Basically went on, as he put it, a Civil Wargasm. And with his way of writing, and I love his way of writing, because his way of writing has always got a certain amount of tongue in cheek to it, even when he's been writing on things about Bosnia and the war there. He's always managed to find some humor in it to try to alleviate the more serious parts. But he's gone in this book and he goes through not only like the old battlefields, but he also compares it to the new ones, which, as he puts it, are where past and present collide, whether it be classroom, courts, or country bars. Sometimes in explosive ways, sometimes poignant, picturesque, haunting, and hilarious. So it's definitely, as he put it, this is for anyone who's felt drawn to the mythic South and the dark romance of the Civil War. So it could be very interesting, but it's one of these that had been on my shelf, probably because it's Tony Horwitz, Horwitz. And so I don't know how I got it, but I probably picked it up at some point because it is his writing and I have read other things of his. But I really am working on trying to purge the amount of books in this house. So if I can, once a month, we're going to have a book sale. There may even be drop sales that are books, because if I have a week that gets too busy, that was one of the suggestions on the night we had the live chat about what did you guys want to see. And that was a good suggestion for having a box of books that it's already been filmed, so that if I'm under the weather, I can just do it as a drop sale. And so I think I got it because of who the author was, but I know I'm not gonna read this one. It's not really a topic that interests me. So I'm going to purge this out and let one of you have it. It does have somebody else's name. There's a little name written up here, because I am notorious for buying my books at yard sales, flea markets, and book sales at libraries. So this one is Confederates in the Attic. It is $8. And it's number 84. $8, number 84. Yeah, Iris, we could do a book sale together. And this is a first edition. It is marked as a first edition from 1998. So it's $8 for a first edition book. And it's number, what did I just do with that piece? It's number 84. Oh, the pile of not solds are getting higher. The Huckster drop did well. These didn't sell though. I'll show you these in case you didn't see it. So look at the bottom. Uranium glass. These did not sell. These are still on that drop shop. This is the watermelon glass, and I have a pair of these. And you could just barely see that the tops are pink, and then the bottoms are the green, and the bottoms are uranium glass. And I even found out who made these, and they were only made between 1930 and 1939 in West Virginia by the Louis Weston Glass Company. But they call this watermelon glass when it's the pink with the green. They only apparently made it, and there were only 3 or 4 companies that made it, and they only made it in the 30s. And I have 2, and that still hasn't sold. They were $50 for the pair, because when they go up on eBay, they're going to go up for $80 for the pair. But surprisingly, those didn't sell, but a lot of the other little stuff did. I put it in the description. If anybody here has not seen Sunday's Huckster Shop Hop, my video from the drop sales is still up, and in the description is a list of what is still available. Everything else anything that's sold says sold in that description list. So if you wanted to go back and see if there was anything you wanted that was still available, you can look and see, and then watch the video if you wanted to. So Johnny loves Civil War. All right, is this Little John or is this Big John? Like Civil War. I miss being at the college. I got a lot of great books when I was at college at Westchester University, because the universities sometimes have the most awesome book sales, but they hardly ever advertise them, which to me is just silly. Now, this one's going to be an offer up. I have 2 that are by the same author. They're both autographed by the author. The first one's Gold of My Ear. So these are going to be an offer up for each one. We're going to start this at 8, which is way cheap for an autograph book. It's never been read. Gold of My Ear, True Grit. Gold of My Ear was, I don't know how to explain who she was. I know she was a real big push in our government for the Jewish people, and where is it? She was at some different points in time. She was in our government. She was the minister to Russia. She was the labor minister, foreign minister, and prime minister. So I think at that point was when she where was she at? In England at that point to be prime minister? Or was that prime minister? Wasn't she prime minister of Israel at one point? But she definitely is one of those people that, because I grew up knowing the name, but I was young enough that I didn't really understand. I didn't pay any attention to politics at that point to know who she was. Now, this still has the leaflet inside, that was at the book signing, wherever that was. It has the original inscription and author's signature to Janet telling Israel's story, Ann Atkins. And it also has the bookmark, which I have to admit, that has 3 books on here: Eleanor Roosevelt Unleashed, Golda Meir True Grit, and Marie Curie A Noble Life. And part of what I inherited is I inherited all 3, but you're not getting Eleanor Roosevelt until I read it. Golda Meir started in 1898. She was born in Russia, but it's in excellent condition. It's whoever had it before, I don't think ever read it because there's no cracking to the spine. There's nothing. It is how many pages? 280 pages. Now, see, there's the face I know, the older lady. And yeah, I don't know that she was in our. The way the back was written, it doesn't actually say who she was minister to Russia and labor minister for, but I'm assuming then that was in Israel. What I also didn't know is like there's a whole thing on the Jewish resistance during World War II, and there's a whole chapter in here on that and her work with them. And I never knew that that was a thing. I didn't know. History books in the US, you usually, if you hear about any resistance at all, you hear about the French resistance. You don't hear about it. There was a whole Jewish resistance movement in different countries throughout World War II. And there's a whole big chapter on that, and she was part of that. So, so this was an offer up starting at $8. And as I said, it is a first edition signed by the author, and it has the provenance of still having the paperwork inside of the book signing that this actually talks about the author, and that is in there with it. And Lois, I see that you want number 84. But the starting offer for this was $8. And I don't see any takers for that one. So I think we will put pass. Add that to the big pile. Now, this one is the same author. It's Ann Atkins, but this one is Marie Curie, A Noble Life. Now, there is an indent here on the back, which you're not going to be able to see, and I can only find it if the light hits it the right way. I can barely feel one end of it. So it looks like something scratched a little bit. There we go. 4th Prime Minister of Israel. Thank you, Melinda. Because see, like I said, I remember, okay, so she was prime minister till 74. I mean, I wasn't even 10 years old at that point. So it's a name I recognize, and that picture of her was taken at the end of the book. That was a picture of her that was taken just a few years before she passed away. And so I remember, Lois, I got you for the Horowitz book. I got you. I saw that you put down number 84. So, but I was too young to really understand what she had done. Now, Marie Curie is another one. I just know she was an amazing scientist, and that they believe one of the reasons she died was because she did stuff with radium and radiation and mercury and got sick from it. But she went to Sorbonne University in Paris, was graduated first in physics. she married Pierre Curie, and they discovered two elements and won two Nobel Prizes. So, in World War I, Marie is driving to the front line with X-ray equipment that will save thousands of wounded from suffering and death. I never knew she did that. But this is another one that is signed by the author. The inside front cover. To Janet, the future is in your hands, Anne. Now, this one doesn't have the bookmark or any leaflet in it from the publisher. But this one is also going to start at 8. Actually, we won't. We'll just give it a number. So this one is a signed book on Marie Curie. It's going to be $8, number 21. $8, number 21, which is quite the deal for an autographed book. We're going to make this one just instead of an offer up, we're just going to do it as a set price. I'm not into science enough, especially like chemistry and stuff. I never had chemistry. Believe it or not, never actually had chemistry. Never had much geometry, never had trig, calculus, none of that. But it's in excellent shape. There's no problem with it. It is in like brand new condition. I swear this has never been read. I picked them up. I didn't even pick these up. These were part of the stuff I inherited. Collection of a lot of the collection was signed books. So $8, number 21. Okay. Now, oh, I'm not used to talking this much anymore. I spent 5 years in my teenage part in Southern Baptist run Christian schools using the ACE method, which is accelerated Christian education, which basically is self-taught through little booklets. And I ended up in different grade levels on different subjects. By the time I was 16, I had finished their equivalent of 12th grade history, 12th grade spelling, was well on my way to winding up finishing. I was well on my way to ending up blowing through all of their English because I'd finally gotten out of the grammar hell and was to the point where I was doing literature. And in 4 months of the school year, I managed to blow through 12 different literature packets, which meant I read 24 books in 4 months. So I was rubbish at math, which we didn't know at the time. I'm dyslexic with numbers. Because remember, if you're first year Gen X, you didn't get tested for squat. ADD, dyslexia, you were on your own to figure it out. So I ended up spending 2 years in Chester High, my junior and senior year. There's a whole story of bigotry of why I ended up in Chester High from the Christian schools. But we're not getting into that tonight. But they didn't know where to put me because I wasn't high enough in the math. So they put me in business education where I basically had bookkeeping. I had basic bookkeeping. That was my math. Now, when I went to college, that became a problem because I've never had algebra. And it took 2 different teachers and 3 different tutors to finally get me through algebra 1 and pre-algebra. It was bad. And then when my own kid had algebra, I just looked at him and went, you need to talk to one of the other scouts or ask a scoutmaster because I don't know any of it. Couldn't remember squat. So, yeah. Oh yeah, the formaldehyde stink. Yeah. Well, Jennifer, you always read a lot too, so Jennifer, you were the one though I didn't get to read enough to, and Kimberly not at all. Sarah and Jennifer, my two nieces, by the time they were old enough to sit up in my lap, then they were old enough to be read to. And I did that with both of them. They're both smart as a whip. I did it with Michael too. Fortunately, I wasn't able to do it too much with Sarah and Jennifer or Kimberly because they just weren't down here at Grandmom's often enough. So, yeah, Sarah and Jennifer, aren't you, at least Sarah, but aren't you two the tail end of Gen X? I think you two are the tail end of Gen X, and I'm 1965, so I'm the first Gen X, first year that they consider it. So think of the pity me. Think of it and pity me, okay? All five of my siblings are baby boomers. And three of them are boomers. You guys have surely seen enough things to know what that slang is like. Three of the five are boomers. Ah. Well, that was good that they put her in speech class. 1954? Oh, yeah, at least one of my siblings is sometimes around 54. But the baby boomers will remember this guy. I don't remember this guy. I was too little. Who remembers Robert Kennedy? Robert F. Kennedy Promises to Keep, with an introduction note by Edward M. Kennedy. Oh, yeah, Jen. You know I was talking about your dad when I said what? My siblings being boomers. Your dad's definitely one of them. Bet you can guess who the other two are as well. Lois said, yes, she was PM, very strong women. You're talking about gold in my ear. Lois, dear, I think you're seriously lagging. This book on Robert Kennedy, Promises to Keep, it says memorable writings and statements with an introductory note by Edward M. Kennedy. Now, this must have been printed after his assassination because in the flyleaf comment, it says, he should be remembered simply as a good and decent man who saw wrong and tried to right it, saw suffering and tried to heal it, saw war and tried to stop it. Yeah, thus spoke Edward M. Kennedy at the funeral of his brother Robert. So this little book is a Hallmark edition. Didn't expect that. And it is from 1969. And it's just a little thing called Promises to Keep. And it's 62 pages. There's a chronology of his life in the back. There's a lot of color pictures. The future is not a gift, it is an achievement. I want to use that on my Boy Scouts. That's a neat picture of him walking on the beach. I had to remind the younglings, that they're being able to have a planning meeting and choose trips for next year and not have the adults choose things for them is a gift, and that they should behave themselves and stop acting up accordingly and act accordingly because it is a gift that could be revoked at any time. So there's a great picture of him with his kids. So it's in good shape. Its only little problem is it's a little bit coming apart there at the bottom of the dust jacket. There's a little nick, but it's otherwise it's a good clean copy with a tight binding. It's in great shape. Picture of him in the office. And this is $6 and number 60. $6, number 60. Whoops, I see one other flaw. There it is. There's a little teeny piece missing. Required reading, really? In our high school, I was so mad because the textbooks were so old where I spent my last 2 years in high school that they stopped teaching at the Korean War. The books themselves stopped at the Korean War. So there was nothing in there at all about Vietnam, about the civil rights movement, nothing. Now you're in a predominantly black city and you don't have anything in a textbook about civil rights. What the hell? Even in 1982, 83, and graduated in 84, I knew that was bull. So the teacher, we all asked, can you teach us, about Vietnam? And she asked, and I remember our history teacher was Mrs. Ambrogi, and she was awesome. She asked, how many students in here have parents who were in Vietnam? And half the class put their hands up. This is why they wanted to know. They wanted to be taught about Vietnam. And then she looked at me and she said, don't you have older siblings? And I said, yes. She says, well, you don't have, your parents probably weren't old enough to be in Vietnam. And I said, no, my parents were in World War II, but my brother was in Vietnam. And so then she asked, well, who else had a sibling? And there was only me and one other kid who had older siblings. And we both were from big families. And he was the youngest, I was the youngest, and Tracy's oldest brother had also been in Vietnam. One girl in the class, I cannot remember the girl's name after all these years, but she said her mother had been a nurse in Vietnam at one of the MASH units. So we kind of pushed it. I mean, because we were a good class. We were all business ed track, but her class was so much fun and so enjoyable that we went through and we actually finished the entire textbook for our senior year. We actually finished it. And so she had 2 solid weeks of school before graduation week where she had nothing left to teach us. So we basically got her to teach us, and we would see her 3 days out of the week. So we got her to teach us whatever we asked about. So she was teaching us about Vietnam. We talked about the civil rights movement. And that was a big deal to us because Martin Luther King walked down my street. Martin Luther King was here in Chester. The first church that he was an associate pastor from is still going here in Chester. Crozier Theological Seminary is now Crozier Hospital. It is 7 blocks away from me that way. Old Main, one of the big buildings for Crozier Theological Seminary still exists. It's still there. He walked those halls. And in some of his early writings, he talked about taking the cross path so you didn't have to come down 22nd Street and up the big hill. So they would cut across and come down the street with the big houses. That's my street. My street. And my house was one of the ones that was built at the time he walked down it. When there was only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 houses on this street. My house was one of them. So, I mean, it was awesome to find out that you had this connection to Dr. King on your doorstep. That was amazing. So, yeah, see, I don't remember. I was too little, so I didn't remember any of their assassinations, but and my oldest brother, like Jen said, it was interesting to get a firsthand talk of the war. And he didn't spend, Steve was lucky in that he didn't have to spend so much time in the jungle part of it because they really, really wanted him to be somewhere else. But you had to spend a certain amount of time fighting in the jungles. But then they got him to a command relay point, which is where they wanted him, because he was so brilliant with electronics that he took, while he was in high school, he took one of these correspondence courses and built his own television and built his own radio. And when he moved to California, he took both of them with him. Now, he did tell me that he still fiddled with the radio every once in a while because the radio still worked, but it was hard sometimes to get the big tubes for it to replace them when they burned out. But they put him in a command relay point that had the ticker tape machines that would send the things in on ticker tape, and they would have to uncode it and then recode it and then transmit it into Southeast Asia. So it was like past the secret, because by the time they got to them, and they were stationed on the Iranian border, by the time it got to them, it had already been recoded at least twice. And then they had to do it again and then send it on. It's like past the secret. Every time it goes through that, it's going to change just slightly, because that's a bad thing. But those guys, man, war does suck. It does suck. And I remember him telling me of seeing whole villages that, if our guys weren't flame throwing the huts and burning down their houses, then the other side was. And there's the poor people caught in the middle, and they didn't want either side there. So because of the fact that both sides were burning down their houses, they didn't want anybody there. So I think the kittens are up. The door just banged. They get to running around, and they end up banging up against the door. I had to put a hook and eye on that door so that they couldn't pop it open. My heart goes out to the people in Ukraine, because they didn't ask for this. It was just some megalomaniac. Isn't that what happens? Most of it is all about politics or some megalomaniac wanting to take over some part of the country. So let's get these last few books. I am so glad he's doing better now, because one of our scout dads was in Desert Storm. He came in, his kid came in just after Mike. Actually, I think his kid was one of Mike's when Mike was a troop guide to the brand new scouts. And he was in the first Desert Storm. So it was the first war in Iraq, where we just basically put somebody back in his box. But having to go in Afghanistan really, really did a mess a number of people. In Iraq too. So, and I am glad he's doing better now. Because Jen, you and John have had a rough, rocky road. So, I couldn't go into the service. The Navy found out that I have a stress-induced arrhythmia. It saved my life in a way, but that meant on 4-H nobody will take me. Oh yeah, because Russia doesn't really have that much in the way of natural resources. And as we've seen with most other things, sooner or later, the problem with communism is sooner or later, the money runs out and then it falls flat. Whereas socialism, it's not about taking everybody's money away. It's just the idea that everybody should get fair treatment all the way across the board. So, but this one is a novel. It's called Anything Can Happen, written by George and Helen Papashvili. I'm mutilating that. So this was printed in 1945. It actually has that it is complete and unabridged in contents and manufactured in strict conformity with government regulations on saving paper. So it was printed when they were still had the war going on. It is a slim little book. I love the end papers. I found out that this is really a funny little book. It's a cute little short read. It's a fiction book. I was surprised when I looked this up to find out that this apparently was popular enough that it has a 30th anniversary edition that has been reissued sometime in the 80s or 90s. I do not have the dust jacket. I've never had the dust jacket of this one, but I know it's not. I read it a long time ago. It's not one I'm going to read again, I know. So I thought I just will send it on. And it is a nice, fun, easy read. Anything can happen. If you want a nice, quick, fun read for the summer, this is a good one. The print is a nice size. So not going to be so tiny print it's going to strain your eyes. And it is $5, number 37. $5, number 37 for Anything Can Happen. Oh, oh, oh. Ooh. Jennifer, honey, I don't see you all the time, but I'm glad you're alive too. And I'm so glad I'm walking without that damn walker. Though I did try to garden today, and that was a mistake. Just took a few times trying to pull some weeds out, and my hip went, no. The shots are wearing off. All right, Melinda, I see you for that one. I see you for number 37. Thank you. I don't want to go back and get the trigger point shots in my spine again yet until I get that MRI of the knee taken care of, which should be soon. They didn't call me back today to give me a date. Okay, for those cat lovers out there, I've got one for you. And I actually used one of these poems as a Scoutmaster Minute with the Boy Scouts. Now, it does have some issue up here because I'm thinking there was some kind of sticker there, and I tried to peel it off, and it peeled off way too much. But it's called I Could Pee on This and Other Poems by Cats. They also make one that's about dogs. But this one is absolutely hysterical if you are a cat lover. It is from 2012, so it's not that old. The images are cute. This one's about 9 lives. But there's great pictures, but the comments of the cats and the little poems are so funny. Kubla Cat. There's a section on existence, a section that's just Siamese. One called Kitten in a section that's all on play. Where's the one I used for that Scoutmaster Minute? Because that was funny. Because I'll give you the short version of the Scoutmaster Minute. The end of every Boy Scout meeting, a Scoutmaster is supposed to give some short little inspirational thing for them to think about for the rest of the week. And I told them that in scouting, we talk about brotherhood a lot, that it is the brotherhood of scouting. And I'm part of that too. I am so much the brotherhood of scouting that I actually was brought onto scout property when I was only 3 weeks old. And so I grew up with a Boy Scout troop. So I have 4 brothers and about 30 pseudo brothers. But I wanted them to remember that in our troop, you do not knock each other down, you lift each other up. We are a brotherhood, we are a family. And with that in mind, the cat poem in here is called Brothers. They say we are brothers, though we look nothing alike. They say we are family, though we differ so much. I am Tabby, you are Brown. I am long, and you are short. I am thin, and you are stout. I am lively, and you are shy. I am a kitten. You are a hamster. But kin is kin, so let me run on your wheel. At that point, I told them that if you couldn't deal with the idea of calling me your brother in scouting, maybe you could call me Auntie. But for heaven's sakes, don't call me hamster. Don't I have 2 teenage boys being and calling me hamster? And one of them has now taken to calling me Auntie Hamster. I'm so going to smack him upside the back of the head. I already have permission from his father. I love that Johnny's in Boy Scouts. I love the fact that all the boys have been in Boy Scouts. And what, Danny made Eagle. Danny made Eagle after Mike made Eagle. So I am thrilled to finally have Eagle Scouts in the family. So because of the damage on the front, this book is only $5. So it's $5, number 58, for the cat poetry book. And all the poems are written from the point of view of a cat. So it's $5, number 58, for I could pee on this. And trust me, kittens at first pee on everything. Till they figure out what a litter box is for. I haven't actually had that much problem with that. And I think that's solely because I have Mom in there with them. Because when I had Cosette, and Cosette was a little bottle-fed kitten and didn't have another cat around, we did have some problems having to try to get him litter trained. I've had no real problem with that with these guys. Because they see Mom do it, they figured out the litter box really quickly. Which, yes, was a bonus. Yeah, kittens are all over the place. Tell me about it. All right, I've got 3 more books. Now, I won this one, Beginner's Guide to Echolocation for the Blind and Visually Impaired, Learning to See with Your Ears. This fascinated me. I got it as a free giveaway because if you go on goodreads.com, and yeah, I think it is owned by Amazon, probably. But they have sections for books you can enter to try to win a free giveaway book. And I actually got this one. And I've read it 3 times. I'm so fascinated with it. It's all about sound waves. And I actually had recommended it to one of my former scout families because they had a daughter who she had actually had scarlet fever, which does pop up, and most of the scarlet fever we see isn't very strong a strain, but it does pop up in this country every now and then. But she was so young, she was only a few weeks old, that it damaged her hearing. And so I told them about this and I loaned it to them. They gave me a copy back and then they bought their own. And she is now 12 and she does this. She actually has a little clicker. She doesn't click with her mouth, but she has a little clicker thing. And her hearing has become so attuned that she can hear the click back. But she has a problem with the way her hearing is. Now she can hear the click. Her big problem is that her vision is completely shot. She can see blurry shapes of things and shadows if it's bright light. If it's dark, she can't see anything. And the hearing, though, in the one ear is just so odd because she can hear whatever it did. She can hear different noises really, really super sharp in the one ear that wasn't that way before. So she uses the clicker to augment her vision at night when she's walking around, but it also has helped augment her hearing because she's listening for the click. But it is interesting, and I've had a couple of scouts actually try it. It makes a fun. I've devised a couple of fun exercises to keep them busy on trips. And okay, Lois, Lois wants the cat book. All right, let's get it off the precarious pile and put it down here with the other ones that have sold. So this is $5 for the echolocation book. It's $5, number 73. I've won a couple of books. I don't put in for too many on the Goodreads. I do tend to look for the biographies and see what biographies are out and try them. But every time you put in for a book to try to win, it automatically adds it to your to read list. My to read list on there is like 1,000 books, I think. So I purge that every once in a while. This one is probably, I don't know that this is the right market for this one, but I'm going to try anyway. And if it doesn't sell, this is definitely going to go online. This is the Small Theater Handbook, Guide to Management and Production. It is written by Joanne Green. This is one of the books I had from college. Its copyright is from 1981. It doesn't even look, I take good care of my books. It doesn't even look like it's been read, but it has been. It goes through costumes, makeup, sets, building a stage area if you have to build it from scratch, grants and loans to help pay for your production. Even if you're just doing things in your church for the holidays, it is a great resource book because all the same stuff you would do for small theater space, like having that church pageant where you've only got one end of the room to be able to do everything on, or the elementary schools have just that tiny little stage in the gym to do things on. This will help improve it so much. I have used the stuff I learned in here a ton of times because we used to have one of the Gilbert and Sullivan groups was Thespis, etc., and they performed in a Unitarian church. And we had to build our own platforms and everything. And our stage was only 7 or 8 feet deep. And I think it was 16 feet wide. And that was our stage. Talk about a small space. And the audience, the first row of the audience, you were in their laps. You were right there at the edge. And this book was really handy, the stuff I learned in that. So if you have anything that even whether it's church or at your kids' school helping out with stuff, or you want to set up something in the garage for the kids to have neighborhood shows, it's a good one to have. It's not super thick. It is how many pages? 160 pages. Now you can see that there's, well, maybe you can't see. You can see a little bit of dotting faintly on the outside edge. That's foxing. And that's because the bookcase this was on, this was actually hitting the wall. of an outside wall of my house. So there's a little bit of foxing from that along that edge. But other than that, it is in great shape. It is $5. It is number 25. $5, number 25. Jennifer, have they ever thought about sending Maddie to Young People's Theater Workshop? Oh, Fiona wants this one. All right. Got Fiona for that. And then this one. This one is a 14-day, 14-step program for lasting weight loss. It's the workbook, Walking Off the Weight. And I found it in a box of books and I looked through it and then I thought, okay, with your way of ADD brain, are you really going to write in this? And I know myself and I know I'm not going to write in it. I'll walk. I don't have any problem walking as long as my knee holds out. I walk every day now, which is good. I didn't walk today because I could tell we were going to get rain by evening because of how much the knee hurt and my hands. So I didn't walk today just because the knee was bothering me too much. But I have been walking every day as long as it's not raining. So, but I know me. I'm not. It's a nice journalized thing. It's easy. It's all short stuff to read. And there are spots where you fill in different things. And I just know that I'm never going to fill in squat. So the Walking Off Weight book is going to be $5. It's not filled in at all. There's nothing filled into it. So it's in good condition. It is $5. And it's number 39. $5, number 39. Yeah, see, Maddie does dance, and now you've got her in sports. And, you know, there is such a thing as overscheduling your kids. So that's something to watch out for. So we have, according to this, we have 23 watching now and 24 thumbs up. Nice. And everyone who's bought from me tonight so far are people that I know and have your contact information. And I know 2 of you bought books from the drop sale. Ugh, shoulders are getting tight. So I can just pack it all up as one big lot and invoice you that way. Now, let's do a quick overview because there is a lot. We know we just did this one. This one, Time for Pizza and a Drink. We have the Robert Kennedy book, which was $6, number 60. We have the Marie Curie book, which was $8, number 21. That is signed by the author. We have the Golda Meir book, which had been an offer up and didn't go, but we will give it a number in case anybody is seeing this on the playback. This is also autographed by the author, never been read. It is number 63 and is $8. We have the kids' book on John Wesley, the religious leader from England. That is $6 and is number 85. Do the fast recap here. We have the book of Frank Lloyd Wright writings, The Future of Architecture. It does have this little piece missing in the back. This was $5 and was number 16. We have Wisdom from Women in the Bible by Edith Dean. This is the early printing, that is the hardback. It was reissued 30 years later. It has been reissued a few times, but this one is $6, number 42. We have the Hallmark book, This is God's World. I do still like that mushroom cover. You could always use it as a display this way with your pixies in front of it. You have vintage pixies. This one is $5 and is number 12. We have The Cross and the Crown, which is a story, the history of Christian Science. The first half of it is the biography of Mary Baker Eddy, who started the Christian Science Church. And then it explains all of how she founded the church and her activities up until when she passed away. And that book is $6. $6 and is number 19. $6, number 19. This was an offer up and didn't get anybody. This was the Bermudian, cannot get that word out. The Bermuda Cookbook from Bermuda. This one is $8 and we'll give it a number 72. $8, number 72. And we had the Betty Crocker. No, the Better Homes and Garden Favorite Ways with Chicken, Turkey, Duck, and Game Birds. The game bird in here is pheasant. I don't think they have quail. That would be a game bird. This does have a little marking here, but the pages are tight and clean. There's no marks or writing inside of it. And this one will be, have to give it a number. This one will be $8 and is number 10. $8, number 10 for the Favorite Ways with Chicken, Turkey, Duck, and Game Birds. The other cookbook from Better Homes and Gardens was the Barbecues and Picnics book. This one we will have, it was an offer and no one was interested, so we will make this a flat $8 and is number 56. $8, number 56 for Barbecues and Picnics. And Jennifer, if you haven't seen this before, this is why we do this, is because some people fast forward to the end that'll watch this tomorrow or on the weekend, and they fast forward to the end for the recap. This is a great Usborne book, seashore sticker book. It has never been used. All the wonderful stickers are in there. They're all wonderful, colorful stickers. But this acts not only as a book to teach you about the different things in the seashore, but it actually gives you a spot for a date and the place of where you may have actually seen that thing, that bird, that anemone, the jellyfish, the creatures, the plants. So it is actually is also a spotter's guide, and the seashore sticker book was $5. $5, number 24 for that. The dog, which is the exhibition catalog for a museum exhibition that was just photography featuring dogs, that photography that goes from 1900 up to 1993. And this has never been used. It's in excellent shape. The dog catalog by Silverman is $10 and is number 80. $10, number 80. Ferns to Know and Grow. guidebook to different ferns, how to identify them, how to grow them, the type of soil, the type of light that they need. This one is $6, number 57. Another fun book to have. What a great cover. This is part of the Time Life Encyclopedia of Gardening. This is the foliage houseplants. Now this one, while they are colored drawings, illustrations, it goes through a lot of foliage plants. There, I just saw a photograph. Come on, where'd you go? Oh, that one's all whole page of little cacti. So this one was $8 and is number 30. And it has not only the types of plants they are, it's also got the care of them. We have the Sunset book for small space gardens from the 70s. This one is $5 and is number 36. And then we have the last two. We have the book of American art from the colonial and federal periods. Some of them are in color, like the birds there. A lot are in black and white. If you wanted to use these for junk journaling or decoupage, there's a lot of portrait art in here. There are a few landscapes. A few are in color. Most are in black and white. But as I said, the whole front is an awful lot of portraits towards the front. You could have fun with them by putting other hats on them or interesting makeup. Honestly, some of these guys could make really seriously interesting drag queen illustrations. Anyway, just for the heck of it, the American art from the colonial and federal period is $5. It's number 64. And the last one is the one we started with, the wonderful art photography book on New Orleans. And all the pictures are black and white. Partly because, I mean, at this point that this was done, this is an older book. This is from 1949. And a lot of the images of places like these wonderful little courtyard shots. The photographer knew what he was doing to get shots that have use of shadows, use of the light. These are two of the largest mansions that survived the Civil War, though at this point, I don't believe either one still exists. I think they both are gone now. And some of what they show are buildings and fine artwork of all the gorgeous wrought iron that was in New Orleans. And after Katrina went through, some of these things may no longer exist. So it is a chance to see old New Orleans in a wonderful way. It is $6. It is $6 for the New Orleans book, and it is number 32. And that's all the stuff that did not sell. If you're watching this on the playback and you are interested in any of the books that didn't sell, by all means, you can shoot me an email at the email address right there, or put it in the comments. I do pay attention to my comments and read them. So you can put it in the comments as well. If you wanted a particular book or books, I do ship media mail. I do have a bad track record of shipping. Everybody here knows that. Solely because my health had been really pretty screwed up for the last year. Things are much better now. Hey guys, I actually did a little bit of work with Mike, moving things around into the Black Hole Challenge room. I can get back in the doorway again. Hey, it's improvement. We're not ready to start filming working on that room yet, but it's improvement. But we're definitely on the mend, moving forward, and I hope you guys enjoyed tonight. I hope you had fun seeing 2 of the kittens. Oh, wait, 3, because Aragorn escaped and I had to bring him out. So you guys got to see 3 of the foster kittens that are here. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. If you haven't subscribed and you've seen this on the playback, then by all means, hit that subscribe button and come enjoy the fun. Now, next week will not be a sale because we're still going to do that alternating. I hope you guys had fun with last week because we did a story time, which was something different. And maybe I will do that again and start off with a story time and do another one of those Gilbert and Sullivan kids books if you'd like. And maybe that's what I'll do next Thursday, bring out one of those. That was an interesting challenge to do. But I was able to do that because Mike was at work, so I had his set up upstairs to be able to do that. 24. Oh, the sticker book. Okay, Fiona. And Jen, I saw your comment about wanting to stop by. Ha ha ha. Yeah, message me, dear. Message me. This place seems like it's stuffed more than it's ever been because Gary brought stuff. Gary curb shop. One of my goals this weekend is I have a box. It's not a huge box, but I have a box, and I am going to fill it with things that need to leave and go to Goodwill. Get it out. Get it out the door. Out the door. So, I know what I was going to do. I was going to get the book out of here before I forget. So, Lois, I got you. Yes, Gary. See, my niece knows. My niece knows. My brother likes to curb shop and bring things home, and then it's up to me to have to deal with it. Yeah. I now have a bulletin board in my hallway that I have no use for. Big one, too. Need it, Jen? Need it for anything? I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you, niece of mine. Oh. So that's now sitting in my front hallway anyway. So, Lois, I've got you for the seashore book. All right. So have a great weekend, and I will see you guys next week. I'd like to get a video of the kittens. I haven't really been able to, which stinks. I ended up having to delete what I had in my phone so that I had enough space to do the filming for the drop sale. And so I have to do it all over again. But I'll definitely film when we finally get that cat tower that we curb shopped from the dumpster behind the old mill. Once we get that into the room, because they'll be all over that. Those kittens are gonna love that thing once we get it in there. So have a great weekend, and if I don't post any videos before then I will see you guys next Thursday. And towards the only thing I have coming up that is with another channel right now is that Patrick's planning on doing another shop hop, another huckster shop hop, but it won't be until the end of June. And I'm going to be in that one as well because he's thinking about doing them, once a month doing that. And that would be great. I just won't be around the end of July because that's Boy Scout summer camp. So once I have the exact date of that, I'll make sure I keep telling you guys about it so you can see the next shop hop. All right. Have a great night, guys. And I will see you another night. Bye.